We're red.
We'll open this meeting of June 18th, 2015. Let the records show that all selectmen except John Scanlon are present. He's on his way. We've pushed the handicap 4:45. She's coming in at 4:45. The chief's report's going to be just a little bit later. We have someone coming in, not a lot later, but we have a person coming in to speak with the board on handicap parking. You have to what? Probably 10 minutes at the most with this person.
Well, we'll have to cut her off. Then we could take Chris first and then the chief after.
I just don't want Chris to come up now because John's not here.
John's not here.
Right. I don't want you to come up now because John's not here and I want him to hear what you have to say. All right, let's go the minutes if,
Make a motion to bring the minutes of Thursday, June 11th, 2015 to the floor for discussion.
Second.
all those in
Yes.
favor?
Sure.
Okay. June 11th, you said?
June 11th, yep.
Wow, Catherine's against dogs defecating.
In
Cork 'em.
general or specific?
Get a cork.
I'm all for it, as long as it's not in my yard.
That's what the dog owners try to do.
That's right.
On page 1, where I suggested getting a plaque, does that come up later in the minutes? I'm only asking because I know there was a consensus that, yes, let's see about getting a plaque.
Yeah.
That, there wasn't anything else said about it.
Yeah, we said yes.
Yes, but that's where the,
There's nothing in there that indicates saying we said yes.
Just said
Okay.
Suggesting.
suggested, okay.
Just sounds like I threw the idea out and it just went...
died right then and there, yep.
So,
But I think that since the selectmen were in favor of it, we should put it there because
Just
it's
say
a
the
nice thing.
yep. Hi, John. Oh, here's John. We can take him now, and then we'll wait, have the other one wait.
Yeah.
Let's put the minutes on hold, and we'll take Chris. 'cause he's gonna be
Absolutely.
in- Come on,
We're in recess on the minute.
we'll put the
Monday.
minutes on hold for a
Yep.
bit.
You in, sir?
Same routine.
I forgot to say his time.
The chief gets here or just?
For the sake of time, I think that you go ahead and present it, and then if we have any questions, we can...
That's all it takes.
Thank you.
Wow, healthy.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
You need a pen? Here's mine.
That's enough for Catherine.
We get rid of the
Thank you.
basket.
Mine's new here. Oh,
We'll get them back.
you can have the open.
Okay, Chris, you're on. Chris wanted to talk to us about the bike program.
Yeah, I had a couple officers approach me about trying to get like a bike unit started, and I talked to Chief a couple years ago about it. It's kind of just morphed into like other people just getting more interested in it. I know I talked to Selectman Dawson about it, I think it was last week, briefly about it. I think a lot of people see me riding around downtown and on the Wild Trail. I go over to the outlets a lot and ride. A lot of like the side streets around here in downtown. Riverfront Park down towards like the high school. You know, I've stopped cars down at the high school like using a handheld radar on my bike, so people just kind of have to do like a double take when they see me on my bike. So so I put together a list of equipment that would be needed to start a bike unit. So the first page basically just goes over like a helmet, a shirt, shorts, a jacket and pants, the Uncle Mike's belt. So the shirt and the pants would be basically, or the shirt and the shorts would be just identical to what I have on right now. So it would look identical. The only difference is the shorts would just be color matched to the shirt.
Okay.
So they just,
Yeah,
Same.
it would be the same color.
I'd hate for it
Yeah.
if you clash.
yeah, I don't like class.
We started without you, but come on up.
And then the pants would just be like a nylon pant. Like, I found this, somebody had texted me this picture last year. This is for me biking with the little kids from Southwick and Union.
Okay.
Union walked down the street for their Halloween parade.
Yes, that's
So, like,
right.
this is
I
what
remember
the
that.
pants would look like. Except they might not say please down the side. I don't,
Okay.
that's up, but, so people actually, you know, see me out biking all the time. So then the next thing down would be like the duty belt. So it would be a nylon belt like this and all the equipment that goes on the nylon belt. That's for a couple of reasons. One, it's a lot lighter than the leather stuff that we use on patrol, but also you sweat a lot while you're on the bike. And in that area, the sweat builds up around the bike, around your belt, and the nylon is just a lot quicker to dry. And it's almost kind of like having snow tires for your car. If you have snow in summer, everything lasts longer. So it's kind of the same principle. This stuff will last a lot longer. Well, not necessarily longer than the leather, but having the two separate ones, this stuff would last longer, so we get a better use out of it, and we can actually use it for a longer period of time. So to outfit somebody, the only thing the only thing that I didn't put in there was any footwear, but it's $493 a person. And that's with a jacket and pants. If we didn't want to get a jacket or pants, it's $331 a person. The only reason I say to get a jacket or pants, like I ride all the way up until Black Friday, so I ride almost up until December, and you really have to have pants and jacket on. Or if it's raining out and you want to ride, so like Halloween's a perfect time to use it downtown, and that's end of October, so it's cold, so they're going to need some type of warmer clothing. I mean, I was riding last Friday night, and I had a jacket on, and it was June. So you never know how cold it's going to be. And then on the bottom of the first page, I kind of gave two, I mean, it's not necessarily my choice, but I just picked two bikes. That one of them's a police bike that's made specially for police officers by Cannondale. And the other one,
That's the Trial 7,
that is the enforcement.
enforcement 2?
What is the difference?
The difference is,
$600.
No.
Come with a light bar?
yeah, I wish. The biggest difference is like the Trail 7 is Cannondale's entry-level bike. I mean, they sell a lot of them. I talked to a couple different bike stores.
Right.
The difference with the enforcement, they gave me an example was that Nashua PD has a fairly full-time bike unit during the summer. They said that they were buying regular bikes off the rack. They're only lasting around 2 to 3 years, and they use them. But they said the police bike was lasting around 8 years, 7 to 8 years. And they said because the wheels are a little bit heavier, or just thicker.
That's what I thought.
And the brakes are a little bit different. So it's just a couple of things, but those couple of things make the bike last. Because if you're going down stairs or going over curbs or going over anything rough, it protects the bike a little bit more. And the front shock is a little bit better on the police bike versus the entry-level bike. They're both made by Cannondale. They're both in stock at Goodale's and Piche's just got back to me before I came down here, so both of them have access to them. It's hard to get quotes for these bikes because, like, if you go to Cannondale's website and you put in the Tilton zip code and you put in a 100-mile radius, there's only Piche's over here in Laconia or Guilford, Rhino Bike Works in Plymouth, and then Goodale's has like, I think 5 stops, so all theirs come up, and then Dover and some other places. And like when I talked to Rhinos, was looking for these 2 particular models. They're like, oh, we can't get them. They're like, well, we can get the medium, but we can't get a small. So it was hard to try to find some place that actually had them in stock or available. The only ones that had them, that could get them, is Goodale's had them in stock, and then Pichet said they could get them in 2 to 3 days.
So, Chris, I understand that there may be grants to offset some of this monies?
That I have no idea.
Well, Tanger Outlets is offered to give me $1,000 towards it, so.
And then, obviously, this page you want to see is the second page. That's where it comes down to prices. So I kind of broke it down to, I didn't know how many, or if any, the town wanted to get up and running. We have 4 people that are interested in being on the bike unit. So I just kind of started off with 4 people with jackets and pants and 2 bikes is $3,355. Without the jacket and pants, it's $2,707. And then same thing, if we were to get the police version of the bike, is $3,930. Without the pants and jackets, it's $3,282. And then same thing to do it for 2 officers. And that's a breakdown. And then I just listed, so these are what I envision where people could ride. Obviously there's more areas possibly, but these are the areas I ride, so I know that they're accessible to bikes, and I know it's something that we could ride. There's obviously Tanger, the Wild Trail, the railroad tracks, obviously the downtown area. I mean, I've ridden over by the chairman's house before on my bike. I know I've stopped cars all in that area. Especially a lot of times I'll bring the handheld radar because it fits in my bag, and I'll just get them on the radar, and then I put it down, and I just step out in the
I'd like to
traffic.
see him chase him down.
So, I mean, knock on wood, I've been biking for a police bike.
Do you, what kind of bike do you have right now that you use?
I use my personal Cannondale.
So it's your own personal bike?
Yeah.
So,
I just kind of, well, I mean, I bought it like a long time ago, and when I was working for a different department, I kind of donated to myself to use it for work, so it's kind of been set up that way since then.
would it, if we have, do we have a policy right now on bike, on riding a bike within the PD? You know, any, adhering to any safety and criterias, uniforms, are they required to use?
Not right now.
Not anything?
We've never really had a formal program. I talked to Chris about it, and we would put together a training.
So this would be not only getting equipment, I mean, I really like the idea of being more visible in, certainly downtown, on the trails, particularly because I know what happens on the trails. In Riverfront Park, all of those, the whole areas, they all need it.
The island,
The island, yay.
which you didn't mark down here, but that's a big one.
That's a huge one. Would it be possible to, incorporate, if we were to consider this, if the board was to consider this as a hypothetical question, could we start out with 2 officers and then budget for 2 next year and then create the unit slowly, or,
Yep, that's why I put in the 2. I kind of gave the breakdown of like 2 people versus 4 people, just so you could have the price now, so I wasn't trying to do fuzzy math in my head on what it was going to cost. I mean, 2 is better than nothing.
Right.
The only reason I'd like to get up to 4 is, not so obviously all 4 people can ride together, that's
Right.
not my point, but, so there's different people.
different shifts and different people,
shifts,
right?
and I think the main shifts would be around, obviously the day shift and the early evening shifts. I wouldn't say like the midnight shift, because they're working by themselves. You really need other people on. So definitely, I mean, starting off at 2 doesn't hurt my feelings. So,
What is the possibility of looking for donations from other entities in the Exit 20 area? I mean, this specific program is beneficial to them.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. We can. The uniform piece, I can cover it in clothing. The bicycles exceeds a $1,000 donation from Tanger, so I'd have to make up the difference in my budget. There's 3 people that have applied from patrol and 1 from detectives. Detectives are straight out right now, so
We could hold off for,
I'd like to start with the patrol people.
mhm.
The 3 in patrol, and then, be able to gradually add detectives. But they're so busy right now.
It's a program that's going to give us very high visibility in areas that we need it, downtown and the parks. And the parks have been
I totally agree with that.
very lax, and just
Especially
because you're busy, but I mean, I think
So-
for the amount that it's going to cost us, and the visibility and practicality and usefulness is,
Can we
and this
try?
is me talking, marvelous.
Right.
I agree. They can cover so much territory where cars can't get in much less a time period. And then if there's an emergency call on the trail, they can be down there quicker than anybody. They had a call down on the trail literally a half hour ago. It's in Northfield, but it's on the line. And so, I'm sure Northfield's trying to figure out how to get down there.
Yep.
Can you come back to us like next week with, some ideas of policy, would you have these scheduled patrols? How would you handle that? And perhaps...
Does that mean there's got to be somebody else patrolling the outlying areas? What does it cost? I don't know what it costs.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's dependent on what the shift looks like. So if we're full staff, those are the times where someone could take the bike out. We've talked about it where they would keep a car downtown, so if there was a help call somewhere in the town, they could typically,
Right.
bicycle officers, they either kryptonite it, to a pole in front of the PD, or we used to set up prearranged places with business owners like T-Hop. Hey, in an emergency, can I store my bike in your restaurant? That kind of thing, where it's going to be safe. And bicycle police officers know they have to do that so that the moment's notice, they can jump in the car and go. But it would mostly be when we had, supervisor and officer on the road too. Like when we're full staffed each shift.
And luckily,
So-
I can get back to the PD quick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was talking to somebody about it today. It's no different almost than if I was in the bathroom downstairs. It's going to take me, a few minutes to get outside. And that's the only good thing about the police department being that close right there is that I can get there fairly quick. It's
Having a
flat.
marked car sitting in the parking lot of the Providian Bank, though, even if there's nobody
Right.
in it, provides,
Some
oh,
deterrence.
look, there's a police car. It gets people thinking.
So you're looking roughly about $3,000, and we already have a grant of, what, 1,200, or is it, or
1,000.
1,000?
1,000 and,
So, and you can cover the uniforms out of your budget, out of your uniform line. So we're kind of talking,
about,
$4 grand.
So
$4 grand for 2 bikes.
For 2 bikes. I guess
No,
it
it's-
just depends.
that's
No.
prices for 2.
it's
So that's-
I'm looking at the,
$3,000. See on the bottom, total cost for two offices.
at the Cannondale
I'm looking at the,
enforcement 2 at $19.58 apiece.
No, that's
no, that's two.
That's pair?
Yeah, he's got the number 2 beside him.
Yeah, that's
Okay, okay. So it's only
So if you-
8,000.
If you look at the total costs with jacket and pants, 2 enforcement bikes, it's $29.94.90, so let's round it off to 3,000. So how much of that is uniform?
Which one are you looking at?
This one right here.
4 officers and 2 bikes?
2 officers with 2 enforcement bikes.
Well, basically it's $1,000 in clothing because it's $493. If you go to the front page,
Yep.
it's $493 for the clothing,
Okay,
and then 2 bikes is $2,000. That's
Okay.
where that 3,000 mark comes.
So if you have 3 officers that want to do this,
Be $1,500 for clothing.
if we did the 2 officers and the 2 enforcement bikes, and then another $493 for the 3rd officer,
Right.
could they swap off on the bikes?
They
that's
could-
what the intention is.
Right, that's why I recommended, that's why
Just
I'm
2.
trying to get 2 bikes, is because to get a small bike
And
and a
then-
medium bike,
So that it would fit.
various
Okay,
people, it's like a
got it.
small person couldn't ride a big
Right.
bike, vice versa.
I was gonna ask that question, yeah.
Does it come with training wheels?
What's up?
Does it come with training wheels?
Some of them might have to.
No, size 7 boots.
So, So you're roughly looking at another $1,000. Do you think that if we set it some time next week, that you think that you could come in and just kind of look for that? If not, I mean, we'll see what we can do with budget with Tim. The other thing is, can you look at, like, Nashua in the big cities and what they have for policy as far as bikes and what?
I'm somewhat familiar with Nashua's, but theirs is just a little different because they kind of like, Manchester and Nashua have dedicated people, so like,
Okay.
they have, that's all they do. Like Manchester is part of their community policing unit, so they almost ride year round, so like.
So we'd have to tweak it to
would have
benefit
to-
our part-time,
Yeah.
intermittent.
Yeah, basically, I mean, the policy should be about the same as anything else. It would just say that you would have to wear your helmet all the time. You know, 'cause that's kind of like a no-brainer. Like, I never take my helmet off. So I always have my helmet on, and just, you have to wear the police uniform unless you're working
Are those
undercover.
uniforms set up to wear the GoPro things, taser things? Body cameras.
I mean, this is a uniform shirt. It's a little bit more.
Yeah, I can fit
Right here.
It's a little
It
bit more
clips right there,
flimsier.
okay.
right there on
All
that,
right, it's the same,
the Apple.
does it have the thing on the side?
Nope.
No? Does
I'm
the
sure
other
they have
shirts
some kind
have
of helmet
or-
mount or something too that
Yeah, they have the glass.
I think they could figure it out. I think it's a fabulous
Velcro
program.
things.
So what does the board feel?
Yes. 3 officers,
So we could put
2
two
enforcement
together for
bikes,
$1,000,
$3,500.
and you guys got the uniforms on your line already.
Yeah, I'll cover the uniform clothing, so it's just the money for the
They have
second.
$1,500 for clothing?
Because, I mean, they, like as I mentioned before, they don't always,
That's helmets and everything?
yeah, for their clothing, so. if
Okay,
they
that's,
were-
oh, I see what you're saying, all that is,
Wear a helmet as a kid?
Why don't you see what you can do in donations
No, we're
first,
helmet as
because
an
you,
adult.
who knows who's gonna get
came out
their
all right.
uniform shredded by a dog. Need a new one.
cutting a chain.
Had nothing to do
So,
with the bike.
Let's see what we can get for donations and then supplement it with budget.
and go from there. Meanwhile, can you come up with some type of a policy? Do you want to do next week, or do you want to do the week after? What would be a time frame for you to do that? I'm sure you
I'd
want
like to
to
get them out soon.
get...
Yeah, we're running
so
out of
next-
season.
Right, next week? Is that soon enough?
Could it be early? Like
Like this time?
this time? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
do that.
There's one thing, I didn't see any locks on there. You wanted them.
I didn't have any locks quoted in that. At the time, that kind of wasn't thought about.
Well, they're
locking the
about
bikes up.
70, 80 bucks for a good
It would
lock.
depend. Some of the bigger locks, you can't. There's no way to put them on the bike.
Yeah.
So you usually, like I
Yeah,
get
the frame mount, or is your frame full?
to a degree. I could say like I bike in Laconia a lot and a whole bunch of other places, and we use handcuffs. we handcuff we end up handcuffing our bikes together, and then there's something else, so you can't walk away with two bikes.
Well, number one, they're
You
going to know it's
obviously
police.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, they'll
like,
say police right on it, I would imagine.
Hey, they steal
on the back,
cruisers.
down the back. it
Steal
says
them,
police
steal
on top.
them. Remember,
Okay.
was it Reno 911?
So
I mean, geez, who's going to steal a police bike?
realistically, like if something happened downtown, they could-
Hey,
Except Jane.
or if it's during the day, they could leave the bike in town
All right.
hall, or at T-Hop, or there's like different places that they could leave the bike.
Yep.
So
All right, wonderful. So, you got your work cut out. Next week, we'll
So you're
put
just,
you in
you're just talking policy, you said?
policy, and Chief's going to look at donations and policies and come back to us, and then we'll make our final decision next week.
He said 3 people.
3 people, 2 enforcement bikes is what I said.
Two,
Can we do 3 and 2 bikes?
3 uniforms and 2 bikes.
Uniform's coming out of your budget, right?
Yeah.
So if you can make it work, I don't see a problem.
it's not gonna hurt you on the far end, is
Keeps
it?
people
Because
physically.
you didn't
Well, the
budget for this.
visibility, particularly
And
with
I wanna know
Ernie's
why you
going up
got
now.
$1,500 extra on your uniform
they-
line.
Damn it.
Anticipation, sort of.
It's there, we try
Barton
to
Meadows.
calculate per officer
Yeah.
a new set of uniforms.
Yeah.
So this would be their uniforms.
And, you know, we have a new park that's coming, available to us now. I mean,
Absolutely.
We have a lot of things right now. They
Conservation.
can ride up to
I'm
the
not
senior
against, I
center
just
and
wanna
nobody
know
will
what it
steal our
costs.
furniture. And
Buffalo Park.
Buffalo Park, there's another
Yeah,
one.
that definitely
I mean,
Buffalo
it's huge. I
Park.
think it's huge, so I
The
really
ball
do.
field, maybe, that might be out. Well, you go to Tanger now.
But, yeah,
I
I've
think
ridden it,
it's,
yeah.
I think it's well-spent money for what the benefit is going to be for the town and the exposure that we're going to get, particularly with parking downtown and visibility downtown. I think that's really going to be key. So,
Is there a shot at saving ourselves $500 and going with two? And then adding one for next year when we really budget more?
Totally up to you guys.
Every mile.
Just throwing that out there,
One less
$500
mile.
bucks.
Well, let him
you can
see
do-
what he can get
see
for
what he can do for
donations.
Yeah, yeah.
donations, and then we'll go from
Just throwing
there.
that out,
Oh, yeah, it
planting a
doesn't-
seed.
And then next year, we'll,
Come back with your best
Right.
best
Best deal.
deal, and
Okay.
we'll talk about it.
next year, maybe we can,
Maybe you'll get
Add
enough for
another
all
one.
four.
yeah, maybe you'll get enough for all four, you don't know.
Start real
But-
early.
But the consensus here is, we love the idea of mountain bike unit. We love the idea that the officers are stepping up and wanting to do that. And if we can make it happen budget-wise and donation-wise, policy, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, we'll get all that for next week.
Policy is easy. I mean, that's just
Yep.
donations. I'll leave that up to.
Well, don't say policy is easy. You got to go through this one. Well, there's at least two on the board that will pick it apart.
I'll
Now,
find some.
it used to be just one, now we have two.
I'll find something.
Yeah, John will.
I'll help you out.
Thank you for coming in, Chris. Appreciate it.
great.
Can you step aside for a
So
few
she can
minutes?
come up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Or just step, just sit over, and that would be good. Next, and sorry for being a few minutes late, but Mary Ann, you want to come up and speak to the board?
I've talked to you about it before, a long time ago. I live at the Ideal Hall. I've been there since 2002. I cannot, it takes me a half an hour to walk from that parking lot to home.
What parking lot?
The one back here by the fire station.
Okay?
I have a lot of things that are wrong with me. I have fibromyalgia, and that's been kicking in. I have a lot of chronic pain. I did get a ticket, but they took that back because I was trying to explain I cannot do it anymore. I have been trying to find another place, but it's hard because I have two little animals. I've called my landlord. He bought a lot of places up in Laconia, and there's just not a one-bedroom anything available for me. But this walk-in, it kills me. It really does. So
Are you looking for relief all year round? Summer, winter?
Excuse me, the other chief that was here prior to this gentleman, I had brought him a doctor note, which I'm getting that also for you all. I do go to Pain Care in Plymouth. I asked him please to write a letter to you all also. My PCP is gone for the moment because of her mother dying. So Health First in Franklin is going to be writing you up a letter also explaining everything that's wrong with me, and it hurts.
So basically what you would like us to do is allow you to park on the street from 24/7.
Well, at night, especially because I have a lot of appointments normally during the day. But the officer told me that I only could be there from midnight to 5, and then...
Midnight to 5, you cannot be there.
What is the parking at the municipal lot at Tilton House?
I can't park in their handicap because he has handicap.
That is not
That's the
his,
town's
that's the
parking lot.
town parking lot. That's not T-Hop, that's the town.
I thought that was
It's the
Belongs to
town.
the
the
town.
handicap is.
No,
I
it's
thought
town.
that was it.
All that parking in that parking lot is town parking. All of it.
But I would really feel guilty taking that spot.
It's there, that's why it's there. But the issue is that we,
Walking is
well, we,
the issue.
well, the issue is with us, is that we can't have people on Main Street from midnight to 5 a.m. because, particularly in the winter, because they plow. And they have to have the streets cleared to
Oh, I
plow.
understand that, but when I was with my husband, he used to get up, move the car, and put it over in the parking lot, and then bring the car back in the morning. But he has also had strokes, and he's all messed up, me too. So, now I'm divorced, and it's just me, so now it's harder for me. Last winter, when I was out there shoveling off my car, I had all your town guys watching me fall down and trying to get my car unshoveled. And I really didn't appreciate that, you know, but it's just hard, and it's hard now to move anywhere with pets because a lot of people have destroyed it and destroyed apartments over pets. So I'm like in a hard spot, or
Questions, statements?
I guess I
Anyone?
didn't print out, it doesn't tell me. What is the parking regulation for the Tilton House municipal lot? Is that an all-night? Is it restricted to
No.
just day? Is it?
The municipals are all night, I believe. Let me see, I got it right here, hold on. It's on our drive.
Lot G?
Is that Lot G?
H would be behind the insurance company.
No time limit except during snow emergencies. And that's for the handicap parking.
In the back lot.
In any lot. So handicap parking, there's no time limit anywhere in any of our thing as far as I can see.
Well, there is on Main Street, according to this.
Yeah.
Midnight.
Oh, I see, I found it, DNF. That's B and G. Lot G is 4-hour parking. The land says that means the handicap space in Lot G should be 4-hour parking as well.
5 if you got placards.
Pardon?
If you got a placard or the plate, you get an extra hour,
Yeah,
Yeah.
according to the Governor's Commission on Disabilities, you do.
page 7, Catherine.
Oh, is that in ours? Because I've
It's in the
got,
one I'm holding on
It's in the
to.
piece of paper you got.
I have the policy, this is from the Governor's Council on Disability.
This is the Town of Tilton Traffic and Parking Ordinance,
Oh, that's our ordinance.
and it's, well, they reference them in it.
They reference what in it?
The Governor's Commission, and giving you an extra hour.
The Governor's Commission, when there is a 2-hour maximum time limit for municipal parking spaces, a 2-hour maximum limit is a reasonable time for accessible parking spaces. The maximum time limit exceeds 2 hours, a time limit of equal amount is reasonable for accessible parking spaces. So if you had an hour, what they're saying is if you had a 1-hour limit on the spaces around it, then it would be 2-hour on the handicap.
Pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 265:74, free parking shall be granted to those vehicles that display the official handicap placard or license plate. Time limits for handicap parking shall be 1 hour in excess of the regular time limits that are set for parking according to the recommendation of the Governor's Commission.
Wow, that's different than what the Governor's Commission says.
Well, that's
Which
what-
one's right?
If we
Does
need
that
to
surprise you?
update the ordinance.
Well, this one's citing an RSA, are they there?
I've got two, which one is it?
265:74.
I've got it right here.
Okay. That's who they cite, but in our regulations, you get an extra hour.
Any motor vehicle carrier.
So whatever the governor...
Whatever it is, it's not a 24-hour
What's the answer
space.
to this?
Yes.
Do we make a 24-hour handicap spot? I mean, I'm not in favor of making a special spot for one person.
No, because you
Can't
can't,
do that.
you can't dedicate it for one person.
That's
So what
right, I just
happens?
said that.
And we
When
don't
I'm-
have any place on Main Street to make another handicap space.
We just turn one of the ones we get, well, no.
Can't.
It's
You
gotta
have
be
to have the-
official.
You have to have the,
Yeah, but
Right.
we don't
Gotta be
have,
enough room. That's the governor's
go
disability.
ahead, chief.
The spaces that we own behind the insurance company, we did dedicate those to be overnight. It's pretty close.
we did what?
The spaces behind the insurance company
Yeah.
on the river, we did dedicate those to be overnight, same as we did the back row of Lot D.
Well, that would be a lot closer for you.
That would be a lot closer, so that would be her
There's-
closest overnight.
But she's gonna have to walk
Down the,
on that uneven gravel all the way around and out. There's no way to walk directly from Main Street to it, right?
Well, that
between
lot backs
buildings.
up to Bill Lawrence's,
Yeah,
but those are overnight.
those are overnight. So confusing.
We don't have a
Oh, that's
handicap one
H.
there, but we could make a handicap spot there
H.
behind Bill Lawrence.
We don't have the space.
Well, we own, I think there's 4 or 5 spaces there we own.
I don't think it goes all the way to Bill's, does it?
No, not the Bills, it stops shy.
It doesn't stop at where
No.
H-Bridge used to be?
No, it goes behind, it doesn't go as far as head first.
Right.
It's just behind Steady's.
Yeah, it stops at where it's the auction house now.
Yes.
There it is.
And then Kent said he owns some of it too. The auction man.
Yes, he does. But there are spaces in back there that the town owns as well.
You know, on the map, it'd be shorter to walk down from the parking lot than to walk out of there.
I don't know
Still
what
got
the,
the issue of plowing out the lot.
I don't know what the issue, I don't know what the answer is to this, because we can't put one down on Main Street. You can't park there on Main Street midnight 7, on any circumstances. Is Tilton House handicap closer to you?
Yes, I live at Ideal Hall, 276.
So that would be a closer walk, any of those spaces.
so for half the year, why is there no overnight parking on Main Street?
It's not half the year, it's all the year.
Well, I know, but I'm talking the half of the year where snow never flies. I understand winter maintenance and all, so.
Go ahead.
Just the history is that some of the people that live downtown, they worked at night and slept during the day. Some of them didn't work at all, so we had this mix of cars that would essentially be on Main Street all day long.
The bicycle guys can mark the tires as they go by and then ticket them.
Well, the problem is, what happened was that they weren't using the municipal parking area where they should be using the municipal parking area. They were downtown, and the business owners were complaining because there wasn't any room for any of the consumers to come in and utilize the
turnover.
businesses. There was
And
no
the
turnover.
Garbage trucks had problems.
Because they would be there all day long, because they would be sleeping during the day, and, you know,
And then the street
Then we're not
cleaning.
enforcing our parking ordinance according to those signs.
right, well, they would, you know, I mean, what they would do is they would be there all night.
Right.
And go to work. They'd be out there in the evening, and then when, like, if they went to get a haircut or whatever, there would be no spaces for anybody to get a haircut when they opened, and they would be doing shifting of, then there was a 2-hour limit or something like that, and then we did a 2-hour limit, so they would just move it down a space, or 2 spaces, and then go through the 2-hour again.
But can't they do it now? With a 2-hour limit?
Not with, during the day, yes, they can, but at night, there's no parking at all, and that serves the problem of getting up in the morning, and you can, when you open your businesses up, sure, when people come in, they're gonna utilize
The street cleaning
businesses.
as well.
And street cleaning,
If they
snow
have a
removal,
contract.
garbage pickup. The garbage pickups couldn't, they
That
were
was the
parking
whole
in the
thing.
middle of the road.
They blocked the
pick it up.
entire Main Street picking up because the cars were parked along the side.
Now they can go in the lined part. That's the problem. Okay, does Gail have your telephone number, name and number? We can discuss it, and we'll try to get back with you. We'll have more of a conversation with the chief.
Come up with some other options.
We'll try to come up with
So you have a
something.
couple options, yeah.
Not sure how to resolve it, but
Maybe park down where y'all said.
the Tilton House,
House of Pizza.
And
that would be off the street.
That's only 4-hour parking in the Tilton House parking lot.
Right.
You'd have to go behind
The building.
the building.
I mean, if you're just in and out, you can park there now for the 4 hours, no problem. But to resolve an overnight type thing, we'd have to,
Overnight.
We'd have-
That would solve Mary Ann's problem as well,
and then we have to set up a
the other hand.
handicap spot that would be behind the building
We changed it
and see if we can do that or something.
to all night
We can definitely come up with some options.
difference.
It's never going to be
You
perfect
can
out
have
front,
all
but
night for 4 hours during the
It's
day.
better than,
And then
walking
4
a
hours
half
during the
an
day,
hour
but
to your house.
they have to
when you
remove it.
live on Main Street.
Yeah, I think that's part of this anyway.
That may be a resolve. I'm saying if we bouncing it off and just bouncing, made the Tilton House an all-night with just 4 hours during the day and just have it all night. There's another person in this very similar circumstances that has come before us in the past. That would solve her issue too. She lives above, is it Steady's?
I think so.
I think it's above Steady's place that has the same, similar situation. And that would solve 2 issues right there. If we did, it would be off-street with the understanding that they would be moving it if snow removal.
Yeah, it would have
But-
to have the snow.
That,
Yep.
that may, I don't know if it would create other problems. I'm not even thinking it through. It may, so let's talk about it and we'll get back to you.
All right.
All right? All right. I just don't know the resolve. Cindy, did you need a quick talk with us? You want someone to ride down with you?
No, I was getting claustrophobic and I'm scared because I
If someone's with you, would you?
Right down with you?
was scared. So I
Down here.
We evidently ignored the Governor Council. 26574 says that a town can use that as a guideline. So we
But we don't have to.
Shame on you
No,
for
it says you
ignoring.
will.
She's gonna just take 5 minutes.
ignored it.
No, it's in here.
Okay.
It says it's in here.
They
Yeah,
cited
but we
it.
ignored the guideline when we set the 1 hour above the time limits,
What does it say there, 2 hours?
because they don't really have time limits in
What are you reading out of?
both of them. Actually, 3 of them.
It's about me now.
It's about you.
Yes.
Okay. I have the dog warrant, civil forfeiture warrant. We have
You want a dog?
We have 2 new selectmen, so...
I got a schnauzer I'll give you.
Yeah, I have the RSAs if you wanted to take a look at it. Yeah. these
Oh,
are
I got a
those-
schnauzer I'll give you.
These are those bad dogs.
Still,
I don't need a dog, I need a cat.
I want a cat. I want a cat so
I hear
bad.
they taste like chicken.
So
If you cook them right.
what happens is by
Just
By the
say.
20th of June, the civil forfeitures have to be served. Basically, the warrant has to be served. So attached to this are all the people that are on the civil forfeiture list. All right, they've all been contacted, they've all been called, they've had letters sent to them. So now what happens is $32 is applied to their license, the dog license, their account, 25 of which is the civil forfeiture fee, $7 which RSA says we can charge up to $7 for the service fee for all the work that we do.
What do the doggy handcuffs look like?
This is the,
The license amount for $6.50 or $9, and then the late fee for June. So I printed them all out, I gave them to the chief already.
okay.
Okay?
Dog
They can
patrol.
pay them online.
How much is that additional now?
The service fee.
Yeah, how much?
I don't know, I think it's like 43 cents if they mail a check online. It's cheaper than mailing a check from home.
Mail a
Yes.
check online.
Yeah, like ACH type thing, you know,
Okay.
check. Did you want to see this?
No,
Say?
no.
So what happens every year is we get the warrant, you all sign the warrant, we've given the chief the civils, and the officers
Do
go
there-
out and do their
Are there
thing.
any felonies?
They have to pay the civil first when they come in, and then they license their dog. They can't just come in and license a dog for $6.50 or $7.50.
Now, if you've already sent them notices and whatever, how do you go about collecting from these people? The
We've sent
police
letters,
do, and-
we've sent letters and notices. Collecting
police
is,
Give them a civil forfeiture thing, and then
Oh,
they
so you
have
give
to
them a
come in.
ticket.
Oh,
They
yeah.
knock on the door.
He tases them, bro.
these are the
don't want that.
civils.
They go door to door.
They go door to door with them.
Can they use their bicycle?
Sure can.
Good.
Yeah.
Money and gasoline.
So that's what they look like.
So much help.
When is the last day that they can pay safely and avoid that?
The RSA, no, it's passed.
Too late.
Right now.
All right.
Yeah. This is what the civil forfeiture looks like. Supposed to have...
I'm supposed to eat healthy now?
Everything served by August 31st, I believe it is, by RSA. And Terry is incredible on this, you know.
All right, so you need this signed?
I need that signed, please,
All right.
because I'm going to take a copy and then we'll give the original to the chief. Okay? All right. I gave everybody an updated on the meeting. It's getting to be a real small list. Number 4, 8, and 10. I don't know if I'm going to hear back from those companies, you know? But I took the extra mile, you know, just to put those phone calls out there. Pat's been out and about, and I've put that, I didn't put them all down there, Pat, just the ones paying. I didn't say that you were going to go back,
Yep.
you know? So I've got a couple that we're going to pay, well, 3. I've got dates on that. So
The
that's
last
good.
day is
25th.
5th
25th,
by
4
4, right?
o'clock,
They on a dead dog.
4:15.
Officer Yeager's on the list. Yeah.
And then after I leave here, then I hit the button.
I noticed that 3 of these have sewer lien on it as well.
Yes, these aren't sewer betterments.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
One
Right.
is.
Is it?
Oh, it's not, it's
No,
sewer,
none
but
of
not
them.
betterment.
No.
No, they're not betterments,
Right.
it's just sewer.
They haven't paid the
lien.
sewer bill.
Yeah, they haven't paid
Sewer
the sewer
fees.
bill, and
No.
it gets warranted down to me to bill.
Yep.
Gives them 30 days to pay it.
So,
They're billed like everything else.
do we communicate between your office and the sewer to let them
It's
know?
on my books.
We own it
No.
now.
We own it, 'cause
Yeah.
it's a
Oh, so
lien.
it's just you?
It turned in,
Yeah, we give
Okay,
it,
all right.
turned into a
So you've
lien.
already talked.
The sewer turned into a lien, so
Okay.
we're all set.
Yeah. You know, I have to input singly over 100 and something of the sewer people that didn't pay their bills. It's a long, arduous, we made 200 this past year. So,
If they don't pay for in the 4th year, they end up on this?
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's on my books,
Yeah.
you know? So,
Good enough.
I guess I'll be back next week.
you got one deceased dog on here.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, Officer Yago. You don't remember Officer Yago, do you? Laconia. My neighbor, the Fnogels. That was his first service dog.
Oh, on that.
And then he got promoted.
Which one?
Fnogel, Lori, Yago.
I'm not sure of the reason, but I'm glad to see
Okay,
these lists
I'll
getting
get that
shorter.
off of the list.
I know. 'Cause I gotta tell you, there's 2 there that, whew, I do not want.
Any more signatures?
I signed.
Conspicuously
Yeah.
absent.
I know,
What's that?
our friend on Center Street, conspicuously absent from the
That on
list
this
this year.
list. Good deal.
Unusual, huh?
First time in.
All right, so, where's,
Copy of work?
Yeah.
I need to sign it. I haven't signed it yet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Kevin needs to sign it too.
And everybody could do those online if they,
Yep. It's got the pin, everything on it.
and still at this point they can, but they just have to pay
All the
the
charges are,
charges keep going
they
up.
have to have that letter to be able to pay it, because that's what it's gonna ask for, that pin and code.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Chief?
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From last week, we started to see a pickup in calls, 427, coming into this week with 10 arrests and 15 charges, including 4 for drugs and 3 for drug sales. And one of the drug sales also we're adding a felon in possession of a weapon charge. And that was related to a hotel arrest on June 12th, where we had been surveilling a dealer who was supplying street-level dealers in Tilton, and basically he would come here and stay in our hotels, and so we got a tip that he was at one of our hotels, and detectives and officers set up surveillance on that hotel. Once he returned to the room, they already had a search warrant prepared and served a search warrant in that hotel, and in there they recovered about 170 grams of pure crystal meth, about 20 bags of heroin, and then a loaded handgun. And he was so busy that he would actually bring these safes, and the safes were about this big safes, not like a small safe you'd get at Walmart, but actually a big black safe with a dial, tumbler on it. He had 2 of those in the room. One was open and one wasn't. We had search warrants for everything in the room, and we had search warrants for the safe. So in one safe he had the heroin, in the other safe he had the loaded handgun with the crystal meth. And he was so busy that the female that was with him kept all of his bookkeeping records, so.
Was that for the IRS?
Yes. So it's really a good case.
How long had he been there?
We believe he was moving from hotel to hotel.
With those safes?
Yeah. So I'm not sure how they inconspicuously got him into the room. I don't know if they covered him up with
My next
a
question.
blanket or something and carried him
In
up.
at night,
Took him in at night.
How
but-
can you not see someone bringing in a safe like
And
that?
they're not light.
And they're not light. And then there was some activity yesterday at Cumberland Farms. We arrested another individual who's more of a street-level dealer, but he was selling heroin, and every arrest for sales is important. So yesterday they had an arrest for heroin sales at our Cumberland Farms in the parking lot.
like, just around the corner.
Yeah, right over here.
Yep.
And so it's been a busy week for them. But the case we get out of the hotel, it meets the threshold for the U.S. Attorney to look at it. So chances are that one, besides taking them to Superior Court on our felony charges, I asked detectives to meet with the U.S. Attorney's office to have them look at this, because they have a threshold of drug cases they can take. They can't take them all, but this one actually does meet their threshold, so, and that adds, we can actually run the 2 cases parallel, a
The
state
guy had
case.
quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, oh yeah, and he had cutting agents, so the state lab hasn't given us the results yet, but one of the cutting agents, he had like 2 containers of cutting agents, so like a container the size of that basket right there, full of white powder for cutting, so it's.
You mean he was mixing his own drugs?
Yeah, he was cutting them in the rooms to squash it down and sell more. So a lot of the mid-level and upper dealers will get the stuff pure. Then they'll, let's just say it's 170 grams pure. He'll step on it with a cutting agent and then end up selling about 250. So so we're waiting to see where that comes back. But there's a chance that could come back fentanyl. I know the arrest we had yesterday, he had pure fentanyl. And there's a separate test for fentanyl. And Nate actually just went through some training to learn how to do that, because if you test fentanyl immediately to the layperson, it's going to come back looking like cocaine. So Nate was able to start testing some of the stuff we're bringing in to show that it's actually fentanyl. So that's kind of it for crime information for this week.
No issues surrounding Bike Week?
Other than a lot of traffic, and other communities have had some accidents, none fatal that I know of. But we're just having an enormous amount of traffic, but really not any issues to speak of, Joe.
Aren't we typically a travel-through community?
All the hotels are full, so.
Right, but they
Yeah.
go from there
Restaurants
up.
are busy, lots of
Yeah.
stuff's busy.
So I mean, like, typically, like on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday night of Bike Week, when they come back from the weirs and they go to the hotels and motels, we'll start getting noise complaints around 1 o'clock, the partying in the parking lot. I think it was last year or the year before, we had a guy doing smoke shows with his rice rocket in the parking lot of one of our hotels. So that's gonna generate a few phone calls. So it's that kind of,
You think alcohol was involved?
stuff.
I'm guessing, yeah.
But so far, I'll knock on wood, we haven't had anything. 5A's over at OME, getting upfitted. They're going to try and have it ready for Old Home Day, which is right around the corner, so that we could have it for that parade and everything. So that's their goal with it, so crossing my fingers.
What are they doing with it at Ospey?
Putting all the lights in it and all that
Lights,
stuff.
the radio.
The radio.
Oh, this is the new one?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
The numbers don't mean a whole lot to
Yeah.
me.
And then the part came in for the 4A for a seat, so that's, the seat is up, it's just if you want to put it down and you're tall. And so the tall guys are patiently waiting for that part to come in, and it came in
Patiently?
patiently.
Yeah.
Short people only.
Yeah, I got it to work fine. But, so that, I think the cap made that an appointment on Monday. Nothing with the building this week or any significant expenses this week. And then there's a couple notes there on some personnel stuff. One of them had to take tonight off. And I think I gave you kind of heads up what's going on with that. It's Corporal Henry, his father-in-law.
Oh, yeah. A while back you indicated
Yeah.
it was happening, but okay.
So, kind of, keep his wife's family in thought and prayers there. So Saturday, the Knights of Columbus are going to do a march from the church on Chestnut Street to the Arch via Cannon Bridge. So Steve Archibald has been my point of contact. He's not sure how many Knights will show up for this march, and I don't know all the details behind it. He just wanted to let us know that there could be about 50 Knights marching to the Arch on Saturday morning. And so we'll make sure that we have, adequate coverage down there, just in case there's any traffic issues related to it. And then he said once they get to the Arch, they're going to do a ceremony there. And then he said from there, they're on their own. They're going to do a breakfast for them back at the church, but he said they're not going to formally march back. So, and he said some of them will actually drive over because it's too far to walk. And so if you see some activity or the Knights in their uniform Saturday morning around 10 o'clock.
Butting their butts off.
That's
Those black suits
Yeah.
Oh, really?
with a nice fluffy feather.
Hey, they've got a heck of a uniform.
So that's Saturday, around what time?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock a.m.?
And then coming up July 11th, we'll have our first Coffee with a Cop. So this is a program that partners with places that have coffee, like Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, Tilton Diner, Paulie's. It can be really anywhere. And the restaurant or the coffee house agrees to partner us with, in that they would give the coffees. So if you came to Coffee with a Cop at Starbucks and you sit down and just talk about community stuff or crime or anything like that, the coffee is on us. It's a program that started in Hawthorne, California, and it's kind of taken hold nationwide. And so this has been Steve Henry's project to put that together. And so the first one will be July 11th. They typically don't do one every month because they feel like it'll kind of lose the importance of it. So they do them like maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and they find that Saturdays do better, so that if, for people that work during the week, they can come down and sit down with us. And so there's really no cost to the agency. We just make sure that we're there, sitting down, talking with people. You can rotate officers in and out. So it's a good thing, for officers who love talking with the public and do it on a regular basis. It's going to be easy for them. The officers who are more, quiet, it could help them, talk to people that they don't normally talk to. So it's really good for both.
Well, I'm going.
Well, we get more.
Especially now that I know you guys are
Where's
buying.
that?
I thought I
That's
was
right.
buying.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't drink coffee?
We'll have tea. Come on
Question,
now.
I think
have tea.
hot tea
Chai?
or coffee, so.
They couldn't afford my chai.
So when is that? That's the 11th at
It's a
10
Saturday,
a.m.
Saturday, July 11th at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.? Where's that located?
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Starbucks?
Yeah,
Tanger.
right by
Tanger
the
outlet.
Indiana, John on the left side of Tanger Outlets.
At the very end.
And then, at the last, I'll pass these out too, at the last meeting,
It's empty.
Pat, you asked if I could get the board.
Is that what I took down there already that you handed me?
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
I think this
I think
Has
so.
to go back in the envelope.
I think it's
Joe.
down at that end, though.
John, it goes back in the end.
Joe, you only gave me half.
They were sitting right there, buddy.
Yeah, you handed me the paper.
I got
Oh.
a stack here.
So that's for back in the envelope. Thank you, sir. Oh,
So I put a copy of this was from the last meeting, just to get the board a copy of the job description for the Sergeant 2, and then stapled to the last page is kind of a cost analysis. I worked with Tim on that, just to show what the increase would be for that position for September through the end of the year. So if the board was to consider it, we would do a process probably sometime in August, and we ran the numbers basically from September to the end of the year, and it would be about a $2,000 increase, which Tim and I both felt, I had in wages presently, and so...
Now, that's right, because Gary left.
Gary left, and then just in 2 weeks
Right.
of Nate not being there as well.
And right, Nate not being there.
So the,
This is a Sergeant 2 position, which is a management position, not
Super
a
Sergeant.
union, right? Not
I know.
a union contract.
That's what you kept calling it, was Super Sergeant the last
I
time we
have
talked
two
about it.
definitions for police
Implication
sergeant too.
everything.
Is there supposed to be,
oh, you might got two stapled together.
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
you did.
So where's corporal? Or are we supposed to already know that?
Yeah, I'm supposed to know.
There's a test next week on ranks. You better study up.
It's, you are
not
supposed to know
happening.
that.
I can,
The corporal.
I can email that to Catherine. I'm not sure how
Oh, you
you
need
got-
the back page, though.
I kept the back
Okay.
page.
Kept the back page.
I ripped
So-
off the front.
If, if this person would be third in command, and it would be, basically to work with Captain, it would, this person would be able to do IA reports, confidential information, administration, support, and Ryan would do operational.
Right, so they would do a lot of the administrative duties that, when we had 2 lieutenants, the other lieutenant did. They would also do the internal affairs complaints, so there'd be a confidential employee. And if the captain was out for 2 weeks, or let's just say he got hurt at home working on the house and he was gonna be out for a month, they would be able to do all the internals. Or handle some of the smaller ones for the captain. So they could essentially fill in for the captain, but also fill in for a patrol supervisor. So they have that ability to do vacation coverage for patrol supervisor, but also vacation coverage for the captain.
And it's a salaried position, so there's no overtime, right?
Right.
And so the difference between if we were to start, you would be taking a corporal and promoting them, so it would be one less corporal that we would have. And the difference for 2000, if we started August 31st, which is a Monday, to the end of the year, the difference in pay would be $2,042.72.
Right.
And then next year, having to put in the budget, the difference would be $6,248.33. Now, the 2,000 covers because it's 7.5% over the corporal's pay, you have to consider that the corporal is contractual and he gets a raise in July. So that's all considered in here. It's,
Are you saying that Sergeant 2 has a raise built into it from July 1st on?
no, it doesn't have a raise, but it's 7.5% over the
Corporal's raise in July.
corporal's raise in July.
So that's what I'm saying, does the 7.5% include a raise?
No, no matter when you hire them, it's
7.5, okay.
5%, but you're going to hire them, you're going to promote them after July 1st. So, Tim, July 1, they get the increase, the corporals get an increase, so that's what it's based on.
Oh, corporals, okay.
Right, the corporal, not the
the
sergeant, exactly. I really do feel that there's a definite need for support next to the captain in some capacity. I'm not in favor of anything higher than a Sergeant 2. I think a Sergeant 2 would work, particularly if we can have somebody to work with the IA reports, look over the supervision of the corporals, and, be a true support staff for them, and that relieves some of that overburden with the captain, because we used to have 2 lieutenants, and it all got dumped onto one captain. And so having that sergeant position, and because we have 5 corporals, taking that one out, I believe that that's a good thing. My
Do you have
opinion.
leading candidates for the position, or would you be having a board?
We'd have to do boards.
Have to go forward.
Do a process, so that would probably be in August.
With your various, same way we do
Just like we do the other
hiring?
ones.
If it's agreed upon with the selectmen, I wouldn't wait until August, because isn't there some type of training or something that you would want them to go through for administrative portion of it?
And actually, that comes in September.
So, would you rather know, instead of last minute doing the orals in August, and then all of a sudden they're okay in September? I'd say, okay, give them the time and let them learn, and then...
Yeah, I mean, we could do it sooner. The training that we're looking at would most likely be September. There's one of the schools that we need to get them to is in September in Hampton, so it's in New Hampshire, so. And then there'd probably be a few classes over the next year that we'd try to get them to. But the IA certification is slotted for the September.
With this being an administrative position, it seems that proficiency with paperwork would be pretty high up on the list.
It would be very.
Those individuals who might have problems with reports would not necessarily be high up the list.
Yeah, it's a paperwork job.
Would you only look in-house for this new position, if we so chose to go that way? Or would it also be open to people from
No.
out?
No, that's what's in-house. I mean, I think,
So anyone that wanted to apply from other departments would not be allowed to apply?
yeah, the only time you'll see a department do that is if they don't have anyone that's eligible, or they've already exhausted internal candidates and they weren't happy with them.
Well, I didn't know you could actually turn people away.
Well, the other side of that is, we've all said that maybe we have too many corporals. We want to take one of those corporals out and put it into the other position.
Right, but I still didn't know if it was
Right,
closed to
right.
the
That's a good question,
outside.
though. It's a good question.
It sounds like
There-
discrimination, but...
Yeah, there are some, it's an agency decision if they want to go outside or not, or board and agency decision. So
We didn't go outside for the corporals.
if there was a department that needed that position and they had all young officers and they wanted to fill it and get some experience in, they could collectively we talk about going out.
I suspect we have a lot of highly qualified officers that could fill those shoes.
So what do we think?
You want a decision today? I'd have to read this.
Could I get one of those, like, tree charts
Really?
that shows the ranks and what everybody is now? The different ranks, the
You're gonna get
organizational chart.
I'd like the chance to really peruse this, and, I mean, I'm not
What it
in
would look like
principle opposed, certainly, but
And what it would
I'd
look
like to
like
go over
after
due diligence and
the
whatnot.
changes would be.
Did you get the email that he sent out with that?
I haven't opened up my email in 2 days, probably. I've been working. Late week, I wasn't even gonna come in
A week
tonight.
ago he sent it.
No, I don't recall seeing it.
Because Catherine doesn't recall seeing it either.
I
recall
don't have my
seeing it.
computer, so I can't look.
Okay, no problem. I feel we certainly can wait another week.
Will you send me Captain and Corporal? Yes. Thank you.
So,
I promise I'll read them.
so
It
you would,
seems like we're kinda heavy on the top. I mean, maybe that's a necessary thing, but we got a lot of administrative type command people. Seems like half our police department is command people, sorta. Captains and chiefs and corporals and detective corporals and
Yeah,
it just seems like a lot.
The hole we've had for a few years is we don't have any supervisor, we don't have anything in the middle, so like the corporals can't be a captain. So if
I
the
get
captain
it.
fell off the bus tomorrow,
Yeah.
that's a huge void. They're just
I
not.
understand, and
they're
we've
not
been through
trained.
these
Yeah.
conversations before. It just seems somehow like there's a lot of commanders.
We have a lot of administrative
But
staff.
in this day and age, if you don't have somebody in charge and things go south, it's not Barney Fife with one bullet anymore.
Right.
Well, not in Tilton anyway, maybe some of the surrounding neighborhoods, I don't know.
So we can't have a sergeant major or a corporal captain?
Chief,
We'll discuss that later on.
Oh,
We gotta
okay.
let this guy get his feet wet.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
so we'll just draw that out and just,
Should the sergeant be
I
slightly
think that
lower
it
than the
should be
captain?
slightly lower than
no,
captain.
they're gonna do the same duties.
Then why is one of them a captain?
Yeah.
He's gotta have ultimately more
We don't wanna pay them.
responsibility here.
Like a similar PD to us.
Are you kidding?
A similar PD to us.
There's still
in
4?
size would be like Guilford.
We have 5.
You have 5.
We're gonna take one of them, put aside. One's a detective.
So
That's
they-
right.
Right. One's a detective.
I didn't know we had
They
4
have
over there.
2 lieutenants, and then they have sergeants for road supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of PDs are our size. If they don't have corporals, they'll have sergeants. But each one, in the absence of the person above them, is like the military person.
Mm-hmm.
And then vice versa, they can take the position below. So, but where we run into problems is this was in as the corporal, to be a captain and do an IA, the captain's out, that sort of thing. So we've had that hole in the middle, but we held off filling that position because a couple of the corporals were out, one
Right.
was sick.
Exactly.
One was
Military.
deployed, so we've kind of put this on the back.
We had originally made a motion to start in June 2015, 14, but we had held it off.
Deferred it, yeah.
Right, we deferred it. So,
See how
okay,
the captain did as a one-man show.
well, and partly because we had two of the corporals out
Not two.
for almost a year. Right. So, you'll get back to us on next week in your report.
Yes.
We will get back to you after we look at the job description.
Okay. And then just lastly, and I'll let you move on, is this was something I showed the board before. It's just our special use permit for being on Belknap Mountain. But I had to get some information for that attachment from OME. So I got it and attached it. So now I have to send that down to the state to show them what we have on the tower. So I just wanted to show the board that
Who owns the tower?
they do, the state does.
What department?
Dread. So, they just want to know what equipment was up there. Tim's already seen it. The only thing I needed to do was add that attachment to show what's up there. We don't climb up there, so a lot of that doesn't really speak to us. Some of it speaks to the people that climb up there, that they use caution, they don't break the equipment that's up there, but for us, it's been the best thing ever, because we used to have all kinds of radio problems when we were on a cell tower, and I would never want to go back to that. Dead spots all over town, and
I've been working on that fast track series of towers and whatnot for some time now.
yeah.
I was on that committee.
And then,
I do have a question about the amounts of overtime in the payroll book. And for the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we lost an officer, and basically the shifts have to be covered. But are you proposing that we just pay time and a half? Or ultimately, are we going to get a new officer? You've done the boards already. When is that happening?
the top two candidates got background, and the very top candidate, and I think you met her, they just finished her background and polygraph this week, so she's at a point now, she's done ride-alongs and likes her, so she's pretty much completed everything. So now we just have to decide if we want to do the psychological. The board asked me to hold off on that. They said do everything up to like that, so that's kind of where we're at with her.
Right, because it costs to do the site.
Yeah, we have to be committed.
Be committed, so that's kind of where we're at right now.
Is
And
this
I just found
for part-time?
part or full, so she's
We're pulling 40 hours a week of overtime,
so
Well,
and have been. If that's going to continue, we might as well have another
Bill,
officer.
I don't think it was shift coverage in 40 hours a week overtime this week, was it?
48 hours of overtime. Now, it's
But
not all shift
37
coverage.
was special details, right?
No, details are a
and-
separate issue.
we had emergency.
30 and a
at the
quarter
hotel.
special
Yeah, you
details,
had some
48 and a
unusual
half.
circumstances
overtime.
going on.
Yeah, it was a couple of it was related.
There's some
to the
investigations and stuff, but
hotel. It
there was
has
shift
been
coverage.
hard being down that spot, and then a couple of people that have been light duty.
Is it going to continue? I mean, is this a continuous issue at this point?
So, it's somehow, during the summertime, it becomes tough because now everyone's starting to put on vacations, but the SRO comes back into the fold. So he'll go into midnights starting next week, but now we're starting vacations, so it is a challenge during the summertime. And it's just that one position makes a difference. And
We have, it's an important question to answer, and I understand that, but do you have to leave or no? If you have to leave, that's fine. We can get back to Joe with that answer, because it's an important question, but I have the Public Works that needs to get
Yeah.
in to see us, and we only have 5 minutes before we have to open a public hearing. If
Okay.
that-
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
I want to hear the answer to that, too, because we said it wouldn't generate overtime. All right. Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
And you're going to get back to us with that, right? All right. All right, Dennis. What?
Public meeting starts at 6. You can wait until after the public meeting.
Are you going to hold on,
Yeah,
the public meeting?
I was just going to take it on 5 minutes.
All right.
Well, we announced it at 6 o'clock, so it
We have
needs
to
to
wait
go
till...
at 6 o'clock.
Right, we have to open it at 6. We are way behind schedule. Hi, folks, if you could sign the book, the guest book. No pen?
I lost one here too.
Oh, my goodness.
Right when she left, it disappeared.
Aha!
And it was a different color than I'm using now on that dog warrant.
Let's just finish looking at the minutes for a couple minutes and we can probably
Okay,
get
so
through
we're
those.
back at...
The minutes for a couple minutes.
Minutes for a
Okay.
couple minutes.
Okay, go down through the pile. Not in, oh, there we go.
Yes, right here. What do you want? M&Ms? Snickers? Twix?
There's on page 2, there's a select segment that Selectman Constantino mentioned. The town of Sanderston is looking for some information. Tax impact, exit 20, our tax rate, economic development changes over there. Period. That, did we decide to send them information, or? I know what it is, but 3 or 4 years ago, or 3 or 4 years from now, somebody looking at it goes, what? Halfway down page 2. Selectman Constantino mentions about Samerton, and then it kind of trails off.
Joyce has that information and she is going to talk with Bill Whalen.
Okay, and then
I
she'll
asked her today
probably,
and she has it ready, but she just hasn't gotten to Bill Whalen yet.
well, as long as it gets in today's minutes, then
And
just looked like it was
I-
hanging, that's all.
I let Bill know that
Yep.
it's Joyce that has to
Yep.
gather the information and that she was out. So he is, he's okay with that. But it's important because they're going through some changes over there and they
Yep.
want to know what
Yep.
we've gone through with
What
our
the
changes.
impact has
Right.
been for us, yeah. Oh, I understood the question. But like I say, according to the minutes, it just kind of hangs.
Yep. So you could probably end it that Joyce is getting back to the town of Samberton and...
With the
With the
information.
information, and then it's not an open-ended
Yeah.
question there.
Excuse me, Pat. Chief wanted to know if you wanted him to be here for the public meeting on Daniel Drive, or if he could go. He's
What do you think?
downstairs.
Do you want him to be here, or Daniel Drive?
He had some information about the traffic count,
Yeah,
didn't
he
he?
might talk to us about speed.
Yes,
He should be here for a few minutes of it.
just a few minutes. Not sure that it's...
He might be able to leave.
Kevin, you want to sign in the guest book over there so that we know who you are?
Who you are.
Any more corrections or adjustments?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of Thursday, June 11th, 2015 as corrected.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
All right, takes care of the minutes. I will open discussion on the public hearing on Daniel Drive. It has been requested by resident to ask, had asked the Board of Selectmen for 2 speed bumps to deter traffic along Daniel Drive. And it's been our policy always to go out as a public hearing for people around Daniel Drive and anyone else that wants to come for the public hearing. So, you have the floor if anybody would like to speak for or against. Go ahead. Please state, all right, just state your name for the record so that we can have it in the minutes.
Roy Wakefield.
Okay.
I've lived on Daniel Drive since 1968. When my wife and I purchased the land in our early 20s, it was on a 2-track with grass growing in the middle, driveway to the old Daniel estate.
I don't think it's on.
Then it became a dirt road. Luke Harrigan built a couple of houses and somehow got the town to take over Daniel Drive as a town road. And it was dirt for a number of years, and with a little calcium, the dust was fine. Then it got paved, and traffic went faster, but there was still very little traffic. It's a residential area. It's about 1/8 of a mile long with only 5 or 6 houses on it. Then the road broke up badly, and unfortunately, Dennis paved it. But now it's become a bypass, a Main Street bypass. They come down School Street, cut across, and they're flying. They go flying up Prospect Hill, around that, well, I call it Hail Mary corner, by the apartment house. I don't know how they make that corner down on Chestnut Street, I don't. My wife almost got hit Tuesday there. Next door to me, I have a neighbor with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. We have a friend that lives on, I think, West Street, who walks his old dog and his 2 or 3-year-old son several times a day around that loop. A lot of people walk the loop. Chris and Mary, for instance. And I've talked to the Chief Cormier, and it's 1/8 of a mile. You can't waste a lot of police time on 1/8 of a mile road. So my thinking is a couple of speed bumps is going to make them hit the brakes, slow down before the next corner, and perhaps that'll do it. So there's where I stand.
Thank you. I have a note from Neil Gagney on 7 Daniels Drive. He has 2 young children, traffic is out of control, 30 to 40 miles per hour, and he's in favor of the speed bumps on Daniel Drive.
Good evening. I was going to say mayor and council, but I'm in the wrong spot. I feel much more relaxed. Kevin LaChapelle from 57 Chestnut Street. I would speak in favor of this, more so just to slow my wife down more than anything, but
Whatever works.
it's, since we've lived there for 18 years, there's been two rollover accidents, one that's hit the telephone pole on Hail Mary Corner. It seems to be somewhat of a magnet for just the way the road lays out. They get off exit 19, they're speeding on Park Street, Northfield chases them up over the hill, they come around the corner. Sometimes they make the corner, sometimes they don't. So it's kind of a weird spot, and we've just in 18 years, I guess we had just learned how to live with it, tell the kids don't go near the street, and you can hear them coming. Some of my concerns that I have for it is strategic placement of the speed bumps. Is if we only put one out, then it becomes New England dragway from Hail Mary Corner to the corner of Chestnut to see how fast we can get over there. So, I'd leave it up to the guys that are, if in fact you do vote in favor of speed bumps for our neighborhood, these guys know better than we do on strategic placement between the police department and highway. So they're just some of the concerns that I have for that. You could put a speed bump on every street downtown, I'm sure. But that corner that Mr. Wakefield's talking about, Hail Mary Corner, that's most certainly a problem because they fly up over the hill. Please do not fill the hole on Prospect Street. There's a hole the size of the Grand Canyon on Prospect Street. Do not fill it.
Right across from High Street?
Right in the center. It's perfect because it slows everyone down. And I'm with Roy that the day that Daniel Drive received asphalt, that's when the racetrack began, because it was so bumpy before that you couldn't go fast on it. So who would ever think that a resident would say, don't pave our road? But most certainly we're in favor of it. It's just a concern for where they're placed.
So my question would be, and I had this concern when Roy made the request, was, he said 2 speed bumps. Why 2 speed bumps as opposed to 1? And I think you've answered part of that question, but really, where would you strategically, I think this is a question for the chief in highway, where would strategically place those speed bumps?
Over in each corner.
The corners? Go ahead.
I just think one, what it means in the corner would be good.
On Chestnut?
Yeah. And then maybe,
One before they exit the corner? Okay. Did you have a question? You did.
oh, that's
Yes, absolutely.
The only parting thought that I had was just, if we could just be flexible with it in our neighborhood, that, you know, you're going to move them around. I don't know how much of a hassle it is to move around. Figure out where the best spot for it is, and then...
It's a hassle.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Then you answered that part of the question.
It's a hassle, because the one on Academy is, after a while, the bolts break, and we have to order new bolts, and
They're anchored.
they're
pretty good.
anchored down into the asphalt. They're about, what, $750 plus shipping?
It cost us $1,000 to get one on the road.
Just about
Dennis.
$1,000 a piece. Yeah. Okay.
A lot of cans, Dennis.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Chris Gilb. I live at 62 Chestnut Street, right on the corner. And what Roy and Kevin have to say is absolutely true. It is not a road to be traveled any more than 20 miles an hour, just the way it turns, this way and that. We come out of June Tilton's driveway, and we have to look to see what's coming from the left, because I've nearly gotten hit a couple of times by someone who just was trying to make the corner. And coming up Chestnut Street, I have to look to see if anyone's, because I have to cross into the driveway. I've nearly been T-boned a couple of times by someone who's trying to make the corner coming the other way. So the placement would be best right at the corners, either on Daniels or before you get to it. Probably even before you get to the, you make the left turn onto Daniels from Prospect Street, just to slow down there. And just having those speed bumps, even if they're temporary, will get those who are in the habit of coming around there just to sneak around Main Street out of that way of thinking, that they can't just zip around there anymore. So even if they were seasonal, before the plows came along, it would be useful.
They are seasonal. We
Right.
take them up on Academy during the
Like
winter.
the one, yeah, the one on Academy. So yeah, I'm in favor of it, because that's just not a road to be taken quickly, and those turns are very sharp, and there's small children.
Isn't the road narrow up there?
It's very narrow
There's
up
no
there.
shoulder, is there?
No.
You don't have shoulders. It's just narrow. Look at you.
Can you see the pothole, John?
Chief,
Down there.
Did the pothole get fixed?
From the space station.
Yes.
No, it's going, it's been caught.
No, it's past Pillsbury.
Yes, it is.
oh, they're real efficient in public
They done
works.
that, it was done 2 days ago, you told me.
I think it's been passed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leave a bird bath, Dennis.
Yeah.
This is digressing from this point, but it's the same neighborhood and the same situation. It's when you're coming up Pillsbury Street, you have that little rise before you get down to Prospect Street, where you're kind of blind there. And folks come up Prospect Street, hang a right, and they usually make this very wide, I'm sorry, a left turn, which is kind of wide, and I've been face to face with a couple of SUVs and had to kind of run off the road because they were right in my lane.
Going into High Street, you mean? Prospect to High?
No, no, no.
Oh, from Pillsbury
Pillsbury to Prospect
oh,
to Daniels.
taken, okay.
Right. So that's a blind area.
Okay.
If a sign could be put there saying, slow down, blind, just something to warn anyone who's making that right turn to slow down, you can't see what's coming.
Okay.
Is there a stop sign there?
There is, but there's usually,
People look.
but this is coming
No
the other
cops.
way.
Zoom.
Coming from Prospect to Pillsbury where there's no stop sign, and they have to bank wide to get onto that.
You're right, they do.
So even a sign to warn to slow down, that approach carefully or something.
If the speed bump were just before Pillsbury, they would have to slow down.
Where you don't fill in the pothole. No, they have time to get a little steam going before they make that turn. I saw Mary Algren has not been up Prospect Street in a while, and I was walking down Prospect Street last week, and I see her coming up, and she hits that hole, boom! And she comes to a stop, and I said, ha-ha, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, there are a couple of traffic issues in that neighborhood, and putting a speed bump before that, isn't as useful as putting it further up before they make the turn. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I have a question for the chief of police. Did we not put the travel trailer thing up there on Daniel Drive to get a traffic count? Speed reading? Or am I wrong?
We've had it up there before. I don't have a recent count, but we've done some in the past.
That would have been helpful information, I think.
I think the problem with some of the small neighborhoods, it's not so much the volume, but the speed problem versus the volume. So it may not show a lot of traffic, but it could show high speeds, or higher speeds for the conditions. So it may say 30, but 30 going to that corner is fast.
And that's part of a problem that's widespread in the whole area, is it not? People going too fast, rolling stops at the stop signs. Yeah, I think Mr. Wakefield pointed out that we could put a speed bump, several speed bumps on all the street up there. But now we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know, it seems like a lot of money, but it's part of a bigger problem.
It is part of a bigger problem, and you're absolutely right, Joe. But, you know, if just a quarter of the ones that pass by Cedar Street and make that Cedar to High to Chestnut to Daniel Drive, make it up to Daniel Drive, there's a huge problem on Daniel Drive. Cedar Street is like a speedway because it's flat, it's open, and it's wide. High Street has the same thing. There's plenty of room for two-way, and there's a sidewalk or a shoulder in part of it. But when you get to Chestnut and you get to Daniel Drive, it's very narrow, and there's no shoulders. So there you've got a bigger problem in that place. I mean, I would love to have a speed bump on Cedar Street and slow them down after Maple Court, of course, when I turn in, but it's like a speedway. And
You put up a sign.
yeah. But it is like a speedway, and if all of them go up High Street and up Daniel Drive, boy, they got one heck of a problem going up Daniel
Well,
Drive.
the night that we met up there on the light pollution
Yeah.
issue, a foreign car with one of those bottle mufflers or something comes screaming up the hill. We're standing on the corner. Now, he noticed us before he got to us and he slowed down. But when he went around the corner, it was the same thing. But he raced to the corner of Chestnut. I mean, I've seen it.
Yep.
There, certainly.
And I really think it's a huge problem, because I see it every single day on Cedar and High, every single day. And if just a quarter of those cars go up to Daniel and scoot over to Pillsbury and down School to avoid lights or anything like that, it's a problem, huge problem. So I'm in favor of the speed bumps. I'm worried about where to find it in the budget. How's your salt budget?
Hi.
Go ahead, Roy.
Senior moment, I forgot what I was gonna say now. No, I think one speed bump needs to be just as you come into the curve. And the other one, somewhere in the vicinity of Chestnut, Daniel Drive, that intersection, one way or the other. Some years ago, we did have an accident in my front lawn. We heard sirens going, screaming, and getting closer, so I went out on the porch, and pretty soon a geo-tracker came flying around the corner and left a fender on a tree in my front lawn. Went across to where Kevin's house is now, up on two wheels. There was an ash tree on the corner of Chestnut and Daniel. He's not gonna make it. Somehow he did. There were 3 cruisers behind him, and
They didn't make it.
they made it. Yeah. So I had to call and ask them, when they were done, would they come pick up the fender off my lawn? But the bump that they referred to, that Chris referred to on Pillsbury Lane, that ought to be flattened. I don't see any reason why it can't. Ever since I've lived up there, I've had to drive on Okie Lawrence's. Wasn't the Lawrence's.
Yeah.
Right on their grass, to make sure I had room to get there, because you're totally blind. You cannot see a car turning onto Pillsbury Lane. I don't know how expensive it would be to flatten that, but I don't think there's any reason why it couldn't be pretty quickly.
We can look into that.
Done. And I know you're looking at $1,500 to put the speed bumps in, but what's the cost of one funeral?
Oh, yeah. I agree. Totally agree.
You have the problem in the wintertime, too.
Not so much, though, because they take, instead of going up the hill when it's icy and snow, they come right across the high and down Prospect in the winter. But somehow they don't do that in the summer.
The traffic count in the wintertime is probably half of what it is in the summer.
Right. And they like to,
Exactly what you just said.
yeah, because it's up the hill and down. Right. Anybody else that would like to say anything? All right, I thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. We'll make a decision, let you folks know. I officially close the oh, go ahead, Roy. Yeah, I'll officially close the public hearing on the Daniel Drive speed bumps. Okay, what was it?
You've seen the picture over there of the gazebo that was on the island, the original.
Yeah.
Huge eagle. Now, I know where the eagle is, I've seen it, I've touched it.
At Shelburne Museum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I almost got the story how it got there. I think alcohol was involved. It's there, and it would be nice if perhaps the selectmen, the township, requested a little plaque thanking the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, for the loan of the eagle.
Do they have it out on display?
Yes. Yeah.
I was up there, I haven't been up there for 30 years. and When
Yeah.
I was up there, we
Right
went
in the
down in
front.
the basement and it hadn't been displayed yet.
Right in the front.
It is huge.
Just as glorious as you could be.
The last of the perpetrators had passed, so.
Are you insinuating that it's stolen?
Why don't we tell them to give it back?
It was.
Oh,
It was stolen.
It was borrowed.
it was, like I say,
Yeah, it was
Kind of like
borrowed.
the elk from the lawn at the library.
Right.
At least nice.
We should be, we can make a request. Maybe Joyce, you could touch bases with them and
I don't know what, I couldn't hear what he was.
the eagle that used to be on the gazebo years and years and years ago is now at the Shelburne Museum.
Okay.
Just
It was the summer house.
It was the summer house, right?
They called it the
So perhaps maybe you can just send them a letter and say, hey, you know what?
We
That
can look into
originally
that.
was from Tilton, New Hampshire. Maybe they'll give it back.
Why don't we make them prove that they have ownership?
I thought they had the deer, the elk that was in front of the
That's in
Home Memorial
Connecticut.
Library.
That's Connecticut, yeah.
That's in Connecticut?
Yeah.
Found the elk?
Okay,
My father did.
Dennis, would you like to come up?
For Old Home Day Parade and forget to return it.
Well, I'll take Joyce instead if you want.
Go ahead, because
Have you got to leave, Joyce?
no, I've got to get something on the printer. My things aren't printing to the Conica.
We're running way behind, and
I'm gonna be,
it's just been a busy day.
Which one?
don't worry about it.
We won't take long. Want us to go first?
Yes.
Is that the one I said?
Okay.
Oh, I don't know, I just went on the apps.
Oh, yes.
I just went on the apps and on,
You can twist, too. Did you see
yeah.
that?
Cool. Got the weather station at the same time.
See, I took a picture
You're all
of it by
set.
holding this
Chief's
button
all set, right?
Yeah, we're all set, Chief, thanks.
click, and then you can, that goes to your gallery.
Thanks.
And then-
Thank you.
Nice.
We'll give you that first. Is that what you're looking for?
Yep,
Okay.
much better.
Okay. You had asked us to, last week, to have Chambers kind of refine his,
Fluff it up, I think I said.
okay? So there's a copy of that, which is a little more,
Fluffy.
Send it to Queen Fluff.
How's the new guy doing?
good, good.
He's assimilating well. He's had his orientation.
Good? Yeah.
Did you get uniforms from?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, after 90 days. Okay.
Just to make sure.
But you can't just change the name tag?
I don't think the shirts will fit.
Oh, okay.
It's 3/4 inches size of the stone.
Boots.
Yes, it is.
That was where I was going next.
Is that in the gravel?
Is what?
3/4 inches in the asphalt?
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
I didn't know they put stone like that in asphalt.
See that?
Catherine, what did you say?
I don't know much about asphalt. We're talking asphalt here.
Oh, okay.
Talk to me about concrete.
Send me the link.
It just seemed like big stone for asphalt.
No, that's Joe.
Is that what it is? What do they put in the top coat? 3/8?
Use half inch.
No kidding.
You just see a mix.
What's he gonna do with the light post after he removes it?
You can dispose of it.
Should just put it in a different spot, just to mix it up a little.
Just to get me right.
I think it's become famous, hasn't it?
We can move on while John's looking at that. I've had a little time this week, so I thought I'd make Catherine's wishes much better. So I did a little building maintenance for Riverfront Park.
Whoa.
There you are, for each one. Now that can be altered,
Whoa.
Just like my
can be
cat.
added.
Pass one down to John. I don't know.
He's got one.
I made one,
Joyce and Kale.
Look at that. Everybody.
so they can follow along.
What a guy, huh? Oh,
But we don't have to go over that now. Can we continue?
I'm fine.
I like it. When do you start?
Next year.
Next year?
It's a good list.
So does this mean that we would need a part-timer or no?
Yes, it does. Most definitely.
The seasonal?
Better look at that description and rewrite it.
Could we coordinate that with the park and make it a full-time?
Well, let's work on the job description, but Peter is now the ex officio park commissioner. I am his alternate.
Who's the chair of the park?
Robert.
Okay.
Billy's the vice chair. Okay.
All right, I like that. Okay, moving right along.
Okay. Oh, you had asked last year...
Last year, we're getting through last year's stuff?
You had the last meeting, excuse me.
Okay.
How much we had in capital reserve? When Tim applies the 65 that was voted on at town meeting,
Yeah,
we'll have a total of 355,
okay.
minus the 135 for the bridge.
Yeah,
That will leave us 220.
okay.
Okay.
How much, what's your expectations on the 3 roads?
I don't know, I've got to figure them out, Pat. It's going to be close.
Could we spend $14,500 on a parking lot?
You could, yeah.
We'd have to defer something, though.
We may not do one street. Right?
Which is in worse condition.
The parking lot.
Parking lot's bad, but what 3 roads are you
The
proposing?
parking lot is not a
Birch.
street where families travel
Yeah,
through
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
whatnot. And
We're looking at Westwood, Ridge, and Birch. Yeah.
That's a tough,
Now-
they've got every right to have their roads right, too.
That's correct, yeah.
And it's their
But,
turn. But I know about the police, too.
Even if you, I don't think you could do the 3 roads plus the parking lot for 220. No.
2 roads in the lot and maybe some patch on the other one?
You could do that.
And then
There's a
put
good
the-
section of Birch that had been done previous to when they put the water and the sewer in. It's up around the corner by Jimmy Shepherd's is the worst section. Could it get by for one more year? Yes, it could. Okay? But I think what's going to happen is, if that was what the plans were, to do those 2 jobs plus the parking lot, now you've depleted
We got nothing.
your capital reserve, but very little. And putting in 65,000 a year, it's not even gonna do a road.
We knew that that was going to be an issue
We did,
when
we
we did
did.
the 10-year plan. We knew that
That's correct.
was going to
That's
be an
right.
issue.
Right, yep. Back 4 or 5 years ago, I consistently put the 65 in, and with the roads that we need to do now, it's not an overlay. It's a reclaimed fine grade and 3 inches of asphalt. So my suggestion would be to increase
The
roads
capital,
and bridge
right,
capital reserve from 65 to 100.
yep.
Yeah.
Or,
Take the block grant money, which is around 54 to 56,000, and you still take that block grant money, but you put in 100,000. Now you're up to 150. Okay? And continue that for
Right now, the block grant money, Peter, goes into the general fund.
general fund.
So either way, we're gonna have to raise that 56 grand. Because we've been using it as general revenue, and we still have the need for the general revenue.
Or as we get closer to the end of the year, we look at how much money is in the general fund, get bids to do roads in the spring.
That's hard to do, Catherine, and I'll tell you why, okay, because they have no idea what asphalt prices are.
They can give you a pretty close figure.
Well, it depends on the
It's
asphalt.
enough to,
It's what fuel,
it's enough to encumber the money.
it's what fuel pricing does.
Yeah, fuel pricing, asphalt.
It's enough to encumber the money.
I would say if you added 25%, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. You wanted to add 25%.
That's enough to encumber the money.
So,
Then you're not raising and appropriating it again. It would save us from having to increase and look for 40,000 to add to what we're raising and appropriating next year if we have it in this year's budget.
that would be a suggestion. But like I said, all the roads now, they've been overlaid to the fullest. And they've got to be reclaimed and ground and, like I said, fine graded and paved.
You guys have plans for sidewalks this summer? You gonna do any?
We do, hopefully, yes.
Well, I kinda knew you had plans, but are you gonna get to it?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I'd rather have yes or no, but hopefully I'll take it.
Okay, that's not a yes or no.
I know, I know.
Were you made aware that the selectmen made a decision last week to do year-round maintenance on the parking spaces along the river? On the other side of
Riverfront
Street
Place.
intersection?
Up on West Main Street.
Right, but I did listen to the tape, okay? And I don't feel that the board was totally presented with the right facts, okay? Of why the individual got ticketed or asked not to move there.
And I understand that, but that's not germane to actually maintaining the spaces. I know how it was a little misleading, but
That was misleading.
But the fact is that we should be maintaining those spaces in the winter. That's what we came up with last week. When we take the snow out of downtown, we take the snow out of those parking places. They're town spaces.
But Joe, in the wintertime, I've only seen one car, okay? And you know the individual that parks there, and he says that those are his two stalls.
No, they're really not, but all those, they're
But
town
anyway.
stalls, and they all need to be maintained.
Yeah, well, you can maintain them. It's an added cost.
I know.
For what?
For clearing
What?
town spaces.
But no one parks there in the winter.
We still have to keep it open because we're receiving federal funds, and the park is open all the time. We have to keep
Technically.
it open, technically.
Which it is open. The parking lot is found.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever, it's only gonna take.
What do you mean the
another hour,
parking lot is plowed?
You know?
The lot for Riverfront Park, they plow the parking
Follow
lot.
park.
So which spaces are we talking about?
Beside the road,
Along the river.
along the river.
Across from a Chance's Market. That's the parking stalls that we're referring to.
Would
Along
sawhorses
Route
go up?
Right along Route 3, there's like 7 or 8 of them or something.
You know, where they're not supposed to make a right-hand turn
Yeah.
going down Park Street.
And we want those plowed in the winter?
I've always maintained we should plow them in the winter.
Since I've
They're
been
town spots, and we have a lack of downtown parking, and they should be open, in my opinion.
Well,
I think it's a waste.
and the discussion came about because of Riverfront Place and the events they have in parking. When we first created Riverfront Park, there was an agreement that was never signed that we would maintain the path through the park so that Riverfront Place could access their parking on Mill Street. It was never signed.
Right. That's
So we've never maintained
Right.
that path through the park. So the question is, they have events in the winter. They can't continue to monopolize Riverfront Park's spaces. So how do they access parking on Mill Street when they don't have a sidewalk on the street that gets to it, unless they cross Route 3 twice, or we maintain the path through the park.
It'll take longer than scooping the snow out of the parking places, I think. Snow blowing that walkway.
Well, we don't have an agreement in place, so we don't have to maintain the path, but
In order to give them more parking, the 7 parking stalls is going to satisfy them along the river?
It's gonna give them 7.
It's a start.
that's not what I'm saying, I'm just
With the events that
I'm just
they have.
providing information.
Yeah.
So we're
No,
gonna
just
do
one.
this for them?
For anybody in town that wants to park there, they're
No,
town
we're
parking
doing it
places.
for them.
It's town parking places.
If I want to go to a store that's in that building, that parking space is
And when in
full,
the
I can
last
park.
10 years have you done that?
I have parked and gone across the street to the chances, but
In the wintertime?
No,
I
they're
don't
not
know the month
open.
it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, the chances is open in the
There
winter.
is still parking, Catherine, in the winter.
I think they're
I've
open in
parked
the
there
winter.
before it's plowed,
Yeah.
before we've had snow rather, but
It's plowed, yeah.
probably in the past 10 years, I've done that 4 times.
So you're
Could I
gonna
have
have to
parked
actually,
someplace else? Maybe.
he's gonna have to pick the snow up because
Yeah.
he's got this,
Put it in the
he's
dump
got
truck,
this,
just like they do
There's no
downtown.
place for it to go except be picked up.
It's gonna be picked up all
Yeah.
the way.
all the ways you gotta pick it up. So that's extra man hours, that's overtime, because it
Yep.
can't be picked up during the day, because that's the traffic, it's gonna stop the traffic there.
Yeah, but how can we say that one business is more deserving of having their snow picked up than another business?
It's a town
Because this
parking
It's
space.
it's a public parking space.
That's
for
right.
people across the street. If they don't want to do a U-turn through there, and there are spaces that,
Might one business
No,
use
I
it
can't
predominantly,
see a-
maybe, but it doesn't say anything about the fact that these are public parking spots that we don't plow open. And
We've never plowed them,
And I've
and
always
now
said
we
we
have an
should.
issue, and we're gonna plow them.
I've always said we should plow.
I don't
We
agree.
never plowed them in when the belt shop was in the public.
So then why do we plow Main Street then? Let's stop doing that. We'll save hours there and snow removal.
I worked at the belt shop. I was a cutter.
You know, whatever the board decides to say, it's gonna be another hour, hour and a half.
To truck it away, it's gonna be more than that.
Cost of keeping the,
Pick it up
no.
and truck it away at night, it's gonna be another probably hour and a half.
How many? How many people?
2 anyway.
Kenny?
It's at least 4,
There's-
3 or
there's-
4.
there's five, 6, 7, then you got 2 rental pieces of equipment.
So that's not just an hour and a half.
It's an hour and a half.
Times
But
7,
if we're
times,
just,
yeah.
if we're just going to remove the snow along the river, not Main Street, because you're gonna have to do this every time it snows.
Well, I think there should be a stipulation in there now. The stipulation should say, what's saying is when we pick up Main Street. Are you? Okay?
Maintain them the same way that we're maintaining the others.
Yeah.
Exact same.
That you give
I'm not
me
looking
that.
for anything special, just do it when you do Main Street.
Right.
That's
When we do
different.
Main Street, then we can clean that.
It'll take a little extra time when you do Main Street, but that's like 3 or 4 times a year, maybe 5.
Depends on,
Depends on the
Depends
snow.
on the weather.
Right, yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up while you were here to have input.
What's the consensus of the board?
Clean it.
plow them or do the same thing as we do on Main Street.
So,
Clean it?
Clean the Main Street, that will be incorporated into the...
We're
Yes.
trying to decide right now.
Well, we already made the decision, but we're being asked to make it again.
I think we made the decision that we
It's
were
not,
gonna plow.
it's not, I don't think we made a
Who
motion.
made the decision?
We didn't make
I thought we
it,
talked about this.
we did. It's in the minutes of last week.
Gonna do it.
After further discussion, no, that's Tilton School. The town would be responsible for plowing the parking spaces in the parking lot at Riverfront Park.
At Riverfront Park, yeah, but not along the river. That was Riverfront
That was
Park.
part of that
Parking
conversation.
spaces along Route 3 between Riverfront Place and Park Street. It was determined those spaces should be maintained in the winter months. We already plow the spaces in Riverfront Park, so I'm not sure
Yeah.
why that was.
Well, that was part of
there.
the general conversation anyway.
But, I don't know, where's Peter? Plow them or not? Maintain those spaces along the river or no?
Plow 'em.
Well, there's 3.
Is it the consensus of the board to do at the same time that we do the Main Street?
Nothing special.
No more?
No.
Okay, so that will
Nothing
be
special.
incorporated when we do the Main Street, then we'll pick that up. What if it builds up more there?
My suggestion, now this is just a suggestion from me, is there's 7 spaces there, and no right turn up at the end. You plow back and you uncover, like, first you have 6 spaces, and then you have 5 spaces, and that kind of thing, so that you could store the snow up in the last 2 spaces, or even 3 if it got to that. But then we've got bigger problems in town with
Yeah, it's
plowing. That's a lot of plowing there, but that would leave some of those spaces, town spaces, open. That would be just a offhand suggestion.
Are you aware that all I almost said it, but all accessible parking spaces must be cleared within 24 hours of an adverse weather event? I wasn't. I just read this today.
handicap?
They want us to call them accessible parking spaces. So within 24 hours of, they're referring to it as an adverse weather event. Doesn't talk about accumulation.
But wait, within 24 hours of it ending, right?
Say it again?
Within 24 hours of it ending,
And in the snow.
of the
No.
event. Well, it says of the event.
This is exactly what it says. Accessible parking spaces and access aisles must be cleared within 24 hours of an adverse weather event.
Yes, so
I would
within
say
24 hours of it
24 hours
ending.
it ends, but sometimes we go 3 or 4 days.
We only pile the
Of
parking
snowing.
spots, but we have big mountains.
It doesn't
After it
end.
snows.
Yeah,
We have big mountains on the
for 24 hours.
sidewalk.
I didn't know.
Between the spots and the
I
sidewalk,
asked you,
that's why we...
I was surprised.
They're
Okay.
just like a regular...
That was
a
easy.
regular-
So I guess,
Because we have them on Main Street, and those are cleared by themselves? Without clearing all the snow off of Main Street, you clear the snow out of the handicaps.
Yes,
I wasn't aware of that. Nice.
All the parking
all
places.
the parking places, yes,
We just end up with big snowbanks, and that's why we
that's correct, that's right.
throws them down. And usually a big pile over by the auction place,
So do we,
sometimes.
they can drive in the handicap, but they can't get out of their car and go in
That was
on the
my next
sidewalk
question.
because they can't, there's a big snow pile.
so we don't make them accessible?
The business owners actually shovel pathways.
We're supposed to have those cleared so that they're accessible to the sidewalk.
You do the thing went the wrong way.
But the handicap spaces. There's one right here on the,
Right,
by the crosswalk. There's one down by the church, isn't there?
yes. Northway Bank,
Northway Bank.
right.
And there's one in
Tilton House,
Tilton House.
and there's one
there's
at
2 in
Network.
Network. There's 2 in this part. Yeah.
Yeah, but the walkway is shown, the crosswalk is shown, just so they can get out and go around. They're not gonna jump up the curb. If somebody's there.
Wherever the aisle is, and I don't know which side the aisle is on, is where it's supposed to be cleared.
You talk
Oh,
about,
no, I'm just asking.
All right, we'll,
To the sidewalk.
Access to the tip down based on
Okay.
Yes.
because if the handicap jump up over the sidewalk,
Some of our handicap spaces aren't traditionally
right, there's no tip
completely
downs, no nothing.
correct. I'm asking you out of curiosity.
all right.
I don't know.
What are we gonna do on the parking lot? PD parking lot. We asked him to get the bids back so that it's uniformly the same. It's uniformly the same now.
What did any of the prices change?
No.
Okay, I didn't get to actually see the fluffed up one.
You just fluffed it,
All right,
Catherine.
filled it out,
He
so,
changed some of the wording, Joe.
okay, all right,
You made it comparable with the other estimates.
good enough, you're
That's the
good.
reason why we should write RFPs. So you're saying we could do without doing Birch Street? What was the cost of Birch Street?
I haven't figured that.
Your estimate?
Haven't done an estimate yet.
Just based on the condition? How long do we intend to be in that building? If we're gonna put, and how much was it, $80,000 or something?
14.
14 to do the whole parking lot?
14.2.
Never mind
No
then.
building to go into.
14.5.
Never mind then.
No
For some
building
reason, I was not how many
We're
square
going to be
feet it
there for a
was.
little while.
Make a motion, we go with Chambers.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion?
All
So
of us
this
in
is to go
favor?
forward with it.
Yes, this is to go forward with it.
Yeah, all in favor?
You've got Birch
discuss it.
Birch Drive on here, right?
Yep.
And your estimate on here is 45,000.
Catherine,
And I know when it was because I'm looking,
years ago.
that's a dart.
Years ago.
It's a dart figure, but it's got to be, your estimates are not that far off. And we're just looking for 14.5. Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 One question to the board.
Just one?
This one.
I have two for you. Go ahead.
Do they know that box is gonna come out of there? When we pave up there,
The trailer?
storage trailer?
They'll know. They'll move it somewhere.
They'll call and have it moved.
Okay.
Gail, can you follow up on that and let them know before it's paved at the PD that the storage unit has to be moved in order to pave? We have to find a place for him to store it because it's not going to go back on a newly paved parking lot, that's for sure.
Well, not for a while.
Not for a while. So he's got to find a place to store
Highway.
it temporarily.
Behind locked gate.
When do you anticipate
vehicle
doing that
storage
parking
pad?
lot?
We're working on that.
July sometime?
I don't think you figured enough square footage.
I'd rather do it after the end of August. It's a little bit cooler. When you put the top down, okay, you get in there, you don't move the vehicle, you turn the power steering on the wheels, they're gonna cut into the asphalt, cooler, it hardens up a little better, and it's less that it's gonna disturb or damage the wear.
Would you still be here for that process?
Probably not.
Does that have anything to do with why you recommend September? No?
No, he's...
No, I know.
Contracted out anyway.
Yes, I know.
And that's generally why I like to do my bigger projects, okay,
In the cooler months.
the cool months, because of that, Joe.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I was just busting you a little bit. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
actually, she's training me.
What am I training him for?
To bust on Dennis.
I only have a few months left on it.
I know, that's why I've started
I
in.
mean, you know, like I'm not gonna get that up. Besides, Arthur better get used to it.
The senior center has a donation of a fence, and there's, right now, where they want to put the fence in the back, there's bamboo, and it needs to be cut down.
Bamboo? Japanese
Don't be cutting it
knotweed?
down. I talked to the board about it a week or two ago. Paul Rushlow is looking at it to give us an estimate on how to treat it.
All right,
The fence still has to go in, right?
yeah.
Somewhere back there.
Not very, it doesn't have to go very far, because some of it's John Bernard's.
When does he want to put the fence in?
And Emily didn't get back. She's going to get back to him today. They were calling her.
Let me call Paul,
Good night.
Paul Rushlow. And maybe it doesn't matter. But I know if you cut some things down, they grow back twice as big.
Okay, in the lawn up there, it's kind of,
They started mowing
okay.
today. Okay.
Well, this is moving right in
I
here.
think she's telling you something, Dennis.
My computer's...
Oh. So do you are getting up there to mow? Okay.
I think we did it. Last week, maybe, week before.
Week before, yeah. Couple weeks. Has to be a couple weeks. Yeah, all right. Okay.
Payroll. While they're here, just payroll. One of the things on my agenda was the report on Pest House Road, and since Arthur's here, and we both went there, can I bring that up now with you?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know what day it was, Monday, Tuesday? This week, we met with Brian Sullivan, who's the Public Works Director, and what we discovered, there were a number of things, that Shannon Drive is all in Franklin, so all the properties on Matthew Drive, they exit onto Franklin, in Franklin. Just as you get beyond that, at the start of John Bernard's property, it becomes Town of Tilton. The City of Franklin has not posted Shannon Drive, where their Class 6 part starts right when Caleb Hill Road bears left. And there are some other houses there, like 2 or 3 houses, that are in Franklin that are there. And then you get to Matthew Drive, which the property is in Tilton. That it is, from that point, it's a Class 6 road. There used to be a sign there, so they need to put another Class 6 road sign saying, pass at your own risk, non-town maintained. They're also the ones that put up that no recreational vehicle signs. The problem is that nobody enforces it. But
The Class 6 road.
they'd put that up. The road, because there had been quite a bit of rain previous to that, so it was wet and muddy. I didn't see any big, deep tracks.
Just when you get beyond the gravel headed into Tilton,
Yes.
there's a couple of ruts in the road, but they weren't.
Impassable.
No, not at all.
Thank you. And also, you could see that he was logging, someone was logging when we went all the way in.
Yep.
Was logging in there. So, just trying to come up with a solution, and what we thought may work is if the City of Franklin and the Town of Tilton work together, that we pen a letter to Mr. Bernard, trying to, because he wants to be cooperative, at least that's what he had expressed to the abutters and to Brian,
And to the
when he
board.
was here, that, just to make everything clean and neat, recommend that he, so we have a starting point, that he go in and he just grade that portion. And we can document that, we can take pictures, do whatever. And then from time to time,
Who grades? John Bernard?
John Bernard. Brian said if it was legal, he would have the City of Franklin do it, but he can't because it's Class 6.
You saw where the marker is?
No, we did see one marker on the right. We saw a granite
Right
post.
coming out, the granite post
That's-
on the left going in
On the
from
left.
Franklin.
Yeah.
Just beyond the crushed gravel. Now, that crushed gravel was put in there by Franklin? Or
No,
by
we think it was put in by the owner,
homeowners?
the homeowners.
Yeah, all right. Because that's all in Franklin.
Yeah, the homeowners road, Matthew Drive, is in great shape. It's very nice. So to suggest to him, like, everybody work together, that if he could at least get a baseline by grading it, and then between the City of Franklin and the Highway Department, just go up there and, just kind of keep an eye on it. And then he should communicate to us, or like if we know that if it's been raining and if it's really wet, somebody go up and check, because, he would be responsible for fixing anything that his logging operation damages. So he needs to agree to do that, and then we'll help monitor.
The worst place on that road is right there in that low spot.
Yep.
You go, like,
Right as the-
up the road to the right, as opposed to going on to Pest House. Well, there's a low spot there. And that turns into a mud hole in the spring. It's real nasty in that spot right there. But that's only for a few weeks in the spring.
Right. So I don't know when he's going to be done cutting, but he was obviously, we saw a truck in there. So I don't know when he's going to be
How
done
far
cutting or
back did you
hauling.
go? All the way?
Beyond where the power lines cross over.
Quite a ways.
And, I mean, we got through.
Yeah.
But, and just, we need to, remind the property owners when we talk to them again that they knew when they purchased their property that it was non-maintained and
Yeah.
that the town's not liable
Yep.
and we're not responsible.
Yeah.
Same with the city of Franklin.
It's like
but-
no man's land out there.
Right, but all we can really do is in this one instance where we do have a Tilton property taxpayer who's in there using equipment to log,
Yep.
we can monitor him and ask him to make sure that
Yeah,
he...
and from the sounds of it, he's amenable to that,
Yeah.
so.
So if it's all right with you, I'll work with Arthur and Dennis and with Brian, and we could write a letter to John, because I think we're still at the level of, let's
Be
cooperate.
very careful how you word it. We don't want any indication that we intend to maintain it, or we have maintained it recently.
Right, we wouldn't say a word about that. Just asking him, because he had offered to help. So this would be a way to help, get a baseline, and then
But
we'll
does
all pay
anybody
attention.
know what it was before he went in there?
Well, see, that's the problem, we don't.
He widened that road. When it becomes pastel, you should go in the little low spot and then go up.
And there's a bunch of sand in there. I think he put the sand
He
in.
put the sand in, and then going up that hill, he pushed it way back because the marker is gone.
And also, Brian said that he felt that there was enough material there that it would just mean, hire a
Grading.
grader and just grade it out.
Maybe
So it
we can
wouldn't be
get
that
the
expensive.
Sambertons to come over with a grader one day.
Get who?
Samberton.
Samberton?
They have a grader.
Oh, no, he'd have to hire
2015.
somebody.
We could hire the Samberton guy.
Well, no, then we're paying for it. We're not paying for it.
Oh, never mind then.
Yeah, no, he would.
I
pay.
get it now. I'll shut up here.
Yes, no, we're not doing it. We're asking him to.
Good enough.
Did anybody interview the people that live on Matthew to see what their opinion of the road?
Well, he was the gentleman that came in that night.
I know, and he indicated they had spent a lot of money and done a lot of improvements, but I just wondered what his neighbors felt. I think John will be more than happy to work with us.
Yeah, I think so.
What, Catherine, you might know better, I think, than me, what the regulations are for private people fixing Class 6 roads without town say-so. It's still a town road, it's just unmaintained.
They're really not, they really shouldn't. We have an agreement with, who lives on Pestel's Road off of School Street West? Bobby Jordan, thank you, the builder. We made an agreement with him when he moved in there,
This is a
that
picture
he
from the
understood
last
that
winter that
the
Franklin
town
took.
does not maintain that road, and the town would allow him to
maintain it.
to make certain improvements to the road. and
Does he
repairs.
coordinate that with the Public Works Department?
Supposed to.
What do you think it would cost to hire a grader?
Yeah, because the
get it
town line is way down here. This is all Franklin.
We're not gonna hire a grader to come fix us, right?
This probably cost you,
You gotta go out again and perambulate the borders, you can go with me.
I'm just
It's
using.
an interesting educational experience.
Do we bring sidearms?
You can if you want. We'll be in the woods.
So they're gonna get 125, 135, probably 140 an hour. Doing off there.
That's not bad, 140.
How long ago was this picture taken?
I was in
The winter.
Well,
Yeah, but
in the
this fall
spring.
or spring?
This
It
spring.
looks like a spring thing, and that's actually in Franklin.
That part is in Franklin?
Yeah.
It doesn't look bad.
Well, it's not particularly bad right there, but I'm guessing there's still
The
some
Class 6 road?
frozen in there.
Does that sound like a plan? Okay. I mean, he can say no, but I don't see why he would.
No.
Who, John?
I don't think John Bernard
Protects
will
him.
say no.
Go for it.
It's
got peanut butter.
All right.
I know.
He likes
right,
being a
thank you.
good neighbor.
All right, well, you got anything more for us? Hey, Liberty Utilities, are they all set?
Girl did call me, Tracy. I told her I didn't know that I was until we got that bond. $5,000.
And she said, I'll get back to
I
you.
think if you check with Tim, you probably get $5,000 more.
Okay, well, we should check with Tim. Usually he has a report, but I don't see it.
That Peabody Street where the new road was
Yep,
would be an additional
3,000, right. And what'd she say?
and that's on the back.
Okay.
Oh, good to see you.
And I told her any other job,
to see you too.
I would probably
It's a little something
felt that was really low. There would also be additional bonds that they would have to cover.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for waiting.
I had one question.
Uh-oh.
If, along the river there by the island, the trees just keep growing up and blocking it out. If that was cut, where would the best place to put it so that you could pick it up and timing for that?
You're talking about the state's property between Salmon Run and the island?
Between, like, where Timetable Mabel is, some of the brush that's
That belongs to
In
the
there.
state of New Hampshire, that's their,
in, facing
from
the
the
island,
railroad tracks.
all the way up to Salmon Run.
okay, from the railroad tracks
Oh,
to
state.
Salmon Run is this New Hampshire Department of Transportation's property.
You're talking over the
So, I know we've asked for them to do it, they won't do it.
They have in the past.
They have before, but they usually wait until it gets,
But I know for the past 2 years, it's been asked if they could do that, and it's not
right, but
getting
they
done.
don't do it every year.
So we can't do it?
I think if
allowed
a
to.
private citizen went over there and cut it all down and hauled it away, oh well.
If a private citizen went over there and cut it and
You're
put it
gonna-
someplace... could
The
it
issue
be
you're gonna
followed?
have is you better not let anything fall in the river.
Well, that,
Well, my
and you'll have to
question is,
block traffic.
so
You'll
we
need a
couldn't-
traffic detail.
No. My question was, if a private citizen was to cut some of that, is there a place where they could put it? Would the Public Works Department pick up
I
any
would
of the
not allow the
branches?
Public Works to pick it up.
Evidence, they'll
Myself.
call it.
Well, it's not town property, it's not municipal property.
Oh, so that whole section where they put the porta potty and all that's not town?
I think where the porta potty goes, is that part of the parcel that we leased, Joyce, with Timetable Mabel?
No,
No, it's on the other side.
On the
I
other
thought it
side.
was both pieces.
Up near the railroad tracks.
I think it's in the railroad right away.
Part of the, right.
I thought that
No,
was part, but...
part of the
anyway,
porta
further
potty
down.
was it?
Timetable Mabel isn't town property.
No, that's state property.
No, it's not.
No, it's a
Private
private.
property that we have an agreement with
Oh,
the property owner.
well,
We approach the state and
Yeah,
ask
no,
that
I've
they
seen that
do that,
agreement.
because
come to think of it.
I've talked to them, I talked to them in the spring about cutting it. And I just noticed they were cutting someplace else real close and they didn't go near it. It might be time to get legislatures and senators involved.
Could we remember to initial, oh, we forgot the back
You could
pages.
call them.
Page 3 and 4, too, remember? We had to redo it on the last one.
Is the board done with us?
Let me think of
Would you like
something.
us to sit here with you, Joyce?
No.
Okay.
No, they'll just think of more things for you to do.
That's
So
right.
if I were you, I'd get out of here.
That's what I'm gonna do, okay.
Oh, you did? Thank you very, very much. The cleaner asked me to ask you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Allen, Mr. Demas, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Are we all set for the truck on next Saturday?
Oh, the parade.
The parade?
Not this Saturday,
Big
the
one.
next Saturday.
Big one.
Big one.
We need it, we've got a few extra passengers, so we got
You want a truck and a trailer or a big truck?
big truck.
Oh, you mean like we did for the Christmas event?
Yeah.
You want the Peterbilt?
How are you gonna get in the back of that pickup truck?
A ladder.
That sounds like liability.
No, that's what we did it with
Yeah,
the
they bring a
ladder.
ladder.
It seems like you fell out, didn't you?
One-ton pickup.
No,
No, we had the
use
big
the
one.
Peterbilt.
No, we've had the big one.
Yeah, with the ladder, we get a ladder, we put it on the side.
Get a loaded backhoe, lift you up in it.
Bucket you right
No
up.
cooking.
which one has the tar in the back?
Which one, for one time?
Are you doing chicken dinners?
See, we don't want the one.
With Carol? Oh, you do?
Dogs and hamburgers.
Then you're working with me.
Yeah, I get it ready.
You're gonna be my boy. There you are. I'm the one who knows the deal, buddy.
We'll nip that right in the bud, won't ya?
Straighten that out.
I'll put you in charge of ice and soda, buddy.
All right, let's move right along, because Joyce wants to get out of here. It is so nice to see you, Joyce.
It's so
See ya,
nice to
bye.
see all of you. I
It
can't-
is.
It's been like, what, the May 21st was the last selectmen's meeting I was at.
It seems like months.
you.
Yeah.
It seems like years, actually.
Want to meet once a month?
Nah, I
Beer
really like
for
it
2
when
days.
you
Would be here for midnight.
Would be beyond.
Yeah.
Okay, what I gave Pat to sign is, if you recall, back on January 22nd, we held our public hearing to apply for the CDBG Gaslight Village Municipal Wastewater Grant, which we received, and now we have the contract, and so the board had voted
to hire the
month ago-
consultant or whatever.
well, we had to redo the vote to say that it was okay for Pat to sign. So Pat just signed it, and I'm going to notarize it. And also, before I submit all this, Cindy had to certify that we duly held the public hearing on the 22nd, which we did.
I have no idea what you just talked
White
about.
Rock. the
No,
cooperative.
Gaslight.
I mean, Gaslight Village, the cooperative.
Gaslight.
What did we do with Gaslight?
CDBG.
CDBG for their sewer. Also, I'm giving them 2 certificates of insurance, because our policy ends June 30th, so I've got the one for up to June 30th and the one
You didn't want to sign?
that July 1st. And they also require that a municipal attorney review the documents, and he has to send a certification. So we used Scott last time for our White Rock one, so I went ahead and sent it to Scott. So he's reviewing everything. As soon as I get that from him, then I can upload everything, and then it goes before Governor and Council. Then as soon as Governor and Council approves it, we can start spending money.
We've already looked at it,
You
Jim.
looked at it, yeah.
Or they can?
You didn't sign it, though.
Okay, Tuscan Hill parking lot agreement.
That's your
Yep.
signature?
I look at it. These were paid already.
There's 2 here. Oh, I can? You can hear me? Yep. There's 2 agreements here. The property owners insist that it be an annual agreement. And for Peter, since you're new, what we do is there's 2 parcels behind the bank building, the old Northway Bank building, that are owned by it's called Tuscan Hill Properties, which is the
That's what it is.
building that starts where the cupcake thing is. I think there's 4 or 5 units in there. So he owns those 2 parcels. So what we're doing is we lease those 2. And the value of the lease equates to the amount of what the taxes are. So we pay them what the value of the taxes are. They in turn then pay their tax bill. They insist on having an annual lease. They don't want it to be self-renewing. I discovered that we didn't execute a use agreement for it runs from April 1st to March 31st, so call it 2014 to 2015. And so now we're also doing the 2015 to the 2016. So they're both identical. We fulfilled all what was stipulated in the agreements. It's just to keep our paperwork up to date. And I made a note to remember that in April of 2016, that we'll renew it again. Tilton School agreements. And I handed that out to everybody.
Yep.
So I don't lose this. I want to
Right here.
You had met with Lauren last month when she was here, and it's the same agreement that the town had during the last revaluation period. She updated it for the amounts. And what would be attaching is the Made a copy of that spreadsheet. It shows the exempt and non-exempt amounts. You all should probably have that from the last time. We handed it out.
Yeah, I've got a copy right here.
The spreadsheet for the detailed breakdown of taxable versus exempt?
Yep.
Yep,
We have that?
yep.
When did we get it?
She met
Lauren
with
gave
you.
it to us.
Pat gave me her copy, and I copied.
We all have it when Lauren gave it to us 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. I have mine in a minute, I'll give it to you. It's on the back page of the proposal. The proposal will look like this.
I just don't remember. I might have put a...
Yeah, there it is, right there.
John, just make a copy.
One more, just do
I scanned it, but I didn't print it. Let me make a quick copy.
Are we making a decision on that tonight? I got it.
Yep,
I got mine.
should read.
Do you want me to put these in the to be signed, Catherine? To be signed?
What is it?
I'm passing this around for everyone,
The use of-
because there's,
Gotta sign this.
this is no good anymore, that's the bad one.
She's gotta sign this.
I'll be here tomorrow.
What about this MetroCast agreement?
Oh, that's just for them to destroy the files. We've got everything. We have copies of everything.
So it's asking for you to sign it, not us. Oh, I'm fine with that.
I see that.
I'm fine with that. Is everybody else fine with
Oh, on this one?
Giandella?
Yeah.
As long as we're positive we've got everything.
What's at the,
Joe was...
We have all of our copies of everything that was ever distributed, and in a file downstairs, it's marked MetroCast.
Does it say they're gonna, how they're gonna destroy them? Are they gonna end up with, as packaging for somebody?
That I don't know. There's little or no Tilton specific, except the final agreement, which is boilerplate that has Tilton
Oh,
put in
that's a
it.
document anyway, then burn it, show it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that they have that we don't. I would say, yeah, for her to sign it or...
Yep, me too. Will you, anyone else, you want to take a look at it, Catherine?
I read it earlier, thank
Okay,
you though.
all right.
You were in on that, huh, John? At the end of that, where we negotiated as part of a consortium, because we were operating under a poll permit, we had no legal franchise agreement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so Donahue, Tucker, and Chandela represented the entire consortium in the negotiations with MetroCat. And the consortium had no obligation to take us under their wing, but they added us, and whatever is good for us is good for Tilton.
Oh, you found it?
So we had more bargaining power that way.
Yeah.
It was really nice of them to do, because they didn't have to do that either. We paid our share, so.
All right, so I'm fine with the agreement. What has to happen now is we have to send it to them, Do you want me to deliver it, or, first, let's see what the board says. I mean, I'm jumping ahead of
Which
it.
agreement are you talking about?
The Tilton.
Oh, we have to sign it. We should make a motion to agree.
Well, before we sign it, do you want to show it to the Tilton, school?
Personally, there isn't much I'd change in this.
Well, we sign it.
I mean,
If
they
they have
don't-
objections, they'll
They
bring
don't,
it back.
they haven't seen it, so.
They'll bring it back if
It's
they have a
essentially the
problem.
same agreement. I mean, it's more binding on them than it is us.
Okay.
And that,
Do you have the original,
even without
Joyce, to
construction,
sign,
if they
or no?
move around where they're teaching students, it isn't gonna matter.
All right, then I make a motion that we sign the agreement between the town of Tilton and the Tilton School for the, tax years 2014 through 2018.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, discussion.
To be non-exempt. Exempt, okay, I got it. Never mind, I'm still reading it. I'm good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Of what specifically?
Signing the Tilton.
Oh, yes, aye.
Right, they're the ones that had asked for it, so all Laura did is just plugged in the new numbers, and they haven't objected to the revised numbers.
So, I'll bring that up to them tomorrow, up to Beth tomorrow. Deliver it. All right.
Nice of you. Okay, so Cindy and I talked earlier today about the 2012 tax deeding, and so you're all set? You're
Yeah,
ready
we
for
got
that? Okay, so I made note of the ones, I'll make the letters saying that the selectmen, well, there's none that you're not accepting.
We haven't even made a decision on which ones we take
haven't
and not
done-
take.
No, we haven't done that yet.
Okay,
We won't do that until,
The meeting before the 25th, I would imagine.
Well, the next meeting is the 25th.
There you go, we'll decide that day. You know where I stand.
yeah, I say we go ahead.
Well, I think we
What's good for one
should,
is good for the others.
because, I think we should, because then we can at least bring them in and make agreements if there's extenuating circumstances or whatever. At least they know that now they have to come in, so.
No, she'll come in tomorrow, so if I can keep all these things in the to be signed, that way we'll know that we won't miss Catherine. All right.
Well, I'm going to bring this to them tomorrow, so sign this one so I can bring
it's
it.
gotta be witnessed, isn't it? Or is it his signature we're witnessing?
No, I'm witnessing the select.
She's
You're gonna
witnessing.
witness, oh, I see, there's one for both. So we all signed it.
And you
No, I
can
didn't
sign
sign it.
this.
It didn't get
I
to
can go
me
ahead and
yet?
sign it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the feeling of the board.
Okay, Joyce, what's next
Okay,
on your
next is
agenda?
an update on the Ernie site. We have to hurry up and wait again.
No kidding.
Yeah. Right now, the hang-up is with the Bureau of Rails,
Accident, you
the
returned his
Department of
vehicle.
Transportation. They seem to have, well, they've misplaced our rail trail agreement.
Avoid the deal.
They did?
I mean,
They think they didn't get, that's what he said, that they didn't get one, but we know they did.
Oh, we know they did. And
Because we have a signed copy.
yes, plus, I gave Glenn the originals of the sewer intercept and the rail trail agreement, plus a copy of our,
He has our original agreements?
yes, because he had to pass them on to be signed by Tom Jameson and the Bureau of Railroads.
Okay.
Sewer intercept agreement only needed to be signed by the sewer,
Okay.
by Sharon, and by Tom Haynes.
So they've lost those originals?
No, I got that one back, signed. by
Which
both
one?
The sewer intercept.
Okay, but the other two are lost.
No, it would just be the one, the rail trail one.
The original?
Yeah.
The original.
So we'll
Signed
basically
by
have
the
to sign
Northfield
it again.
Selectmen and the Tilton Selectmen.
And they lost it.
They also, as part of the contract documents, which are right here, that there's only one place to sign. Remember I mentioned about the shoreland protection permit that we got? It's only place for one signature, so the board would need to vote to authorize the chairman to sign where these
I think
things.
we can all sign it.
They're killing us.
She can sign it,
never-
we'll all initial it, because that will lessen her exposure to liability and...
Yeah. These are our official contract documents, one for Northfield, one for Tilton, and the plans, I think, are still down on top of the cabinet, which the plans do show the correct location of where the trail, remember what Jim Bouchard said, that he hadn't changed his plans, which he knew, I mean, they knew.
Yes,
So
I
he
did know.
revised that, so this...
I was on the walk when he discovered.
Yes, those are him. And then also, he had sent back the prosecution of work documents, which are in there, because Quantum had put Quantum on it with their project number, and that had to be removed. So, the town of Northfield has not been able to sign the prosecution of work, and that's what starts the clock ticking. So, the actual work days to do the work, Mr. Lyman said was 34 days.
Working days.
Working days, 34 working days. But we're going to have to wait a month because it has to be still approved by the Bureau of Rails, which they've lost our agreement. Now they're re-reviewing the prosecution of work. And both those documents have to be reviewed by the AG's office.
We had no copy of this document?
We can produce...
Oh, we have a copy.
I have a copy.
right.
We had to send the originals.
Okay.
So our concern is because we've held off with Belknap Landscaping, they did as much as they could and then stopped, waiting for them to say, okay, they're going to start coming in and looking from our end. They are going to utilize Knapp Road to haul it. So there aren't going to be any heavy-duty trucks driving over the parking lot and the trail. They are going to install a temporary trailer and temporary power. Oh, because that's going to be their office
At the parking lot.
at the parking lot. And they may have to store some equipment towards the back.
So they're going to proceed with the parking lot?
They're going to be using the parking lot as a staging area for their office. Oh, and a porta potty. All that's required in the contract.
So they're going to fix the parking lot after they leave?
Anything they disturb, they have to fix.
So we're going to proceed with the finishing of the parking lot?
No.
Or it's going to stay the way it is today?
Nothing is changing on that until the trail's done.
And,
No flowers, nada.
and I did talk to Chuck yesterday. Maybe it was this morning, I don't remember which.
Okay, who's throwing stuff in here I've already signed?
And,
The stuff at the back is signed.
as far as we know, Belknap Landscaping is okay with it, because they went ahead and planned other work for them. What they have to plant, they could still meet the planting season. But it's really nice out there.
It is. I went and looked. Parked right in the no parking zone. Walked around.
And get down there.
It's very nice. I never thought I'd live to see the day, Joyce.
Send it to me, that was...
Thank you very much for all your work on this project.
And the other thing is I think that we're gonna have a nice natural little kayak canoe takeout, where we won't have to do anything.
No, you don't want them to do anything. You'll be able to take a kayak out of there or canoe,
Yeah.
come up over the trail.
So it's very exciting. Oh, and also they have to put up a big board. I don't know if you remember the one that we had at Mayor's when they were doing the work. They have to post like 1 million notices and everything, so that will be on that.
You know what they're like, Catherine.
I do know what they're like. All the federal documents,
Oh,
state,
yeah.
So,
nobody ever reads them
Yeah.
unless they're waiting.
so, did I miss anything? I think that was about it.
No, I don't think so. They'll put temporary power down there for the trailer.
And then,
Anything that gets disturbed, they'll put it back the way they found it.
and I had asked Rip if it were possible for the expenses that are still outstanding, to send me a report, because I'd love to close out the EPA portion of the grant, so that we'll know, just get that done. And then any other expenses we have, most of which will be, if we held off paying Rip, his fees would come out of the other grant. And
You'll deplete the EPA grant before you close it.
I would like to do that. Somebody's sending another budget report and an invoice. I'd prefer to do that. Let's just get it done.
Have we gotten there?
I just checked my email earlier. He just.
No, I mean, do you think we've spent all the money in the EPA grant?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know.
And I'm sure we've more than met our match.
The fence between Sullivan and the park is very nice.
Very nice. And I spoke to Mr. Sullivan. He's very happy.
Yay.
Very pleased. I think if we had gone the 8-foot,
Would have been excessive.
Too much, yeah.
The Conservation Commission agreed Monday night to allow us to put little Mr. Cass back on his ancestral lands. They have a spot pretty much picked out under the tree that's left between the
Nice.
flower beds.
That's nice.
It is nice, so we should also make a little plaque that explains why he's there. But it's nice to at least have him back to
Yeah, I like that.
ancestral lands rather than, I mean, we could
There's
put
no
him around some
restoration.
park or...
We're not talking about restoring the stone, right? This is going to be just the way it is now.
Horizontal on
We're
the laying
gonna
flat on the
clean
ground.
it. They want it laying flat on the ground. I
Really?
have some concerns about that because it's not secure.
And it starts frost heaving and stuff, we can crack it.
I'm just worried about people stealing it. It is an ornate stone.
It is.
It's
Thrown in
white
the river.
marble.
There are people who will
Does
do
it
that.
have fruits or anything on it?
It has thistles, I believe, carved
Oh,
into it.
thistles, yeah, yeah. well,
So I
That's a
think it would be more
symbolism of,
secure in some sort of base cemented to it.
Yeah,
But we'll
make it
see.
real difficult to
We
throw
have-
in the river.
Right, we have months.
Okay, right before I took my little leave there, Lauren had given me, the board had previously denied an abatement, 2014 abatement for 2 parcels, 3 parcels actually. And then they subsequently submitted additional information after the board had denied it. So Lauren reviewed it and recommending that the board deny it again. So I didn't want to do another abatement form, disposition of abatement form, because we already have one on record that says it was denied. So I was going to write a letter for the board to sign attaching her recommendation.
Is that acceptable to DRA?
It's not so much DRA, it's our auditor, because it would just make it way too confusing for the auditor, because what we have to produce for him are all the disposition of abatement forms. And if I have 2, he's going to say, why are you doing this twice? I say, well, we didn't. They submitted additional information, and the board says, thank you very much, our assessor reviewed it, but our decision still stands. And tell them you can appeal.
Have we seen the information? I haven't seen the
No,
information.
that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
I'd like to see it before I
Yes.
decide. I haven't even agreed with her.
So, yeah, so
Lauren
how do
says
I
no, but-
get this information to the board? Do you want me to scan all this and put it in the,
I'll read it tomorrow when I come in. I'll come in early.
for the rest of the board too? One is Coles, one is Benasuti. I'm not familiar with that property. Louise Longcar, and then there is a new one that the individual had filed after the deadline, but she always will review, and if there's, if there is an error, she'll correct it for the second bill, but, which is the same thing. So this one I will do a disposition of abatement form. Okay. So, Do you want me to leave this in the Selectmen's FYI? And
That works for me,
then you can read them?
at our leisure.
Yeah, and I'll prepare the letters and the one disposition of abatement form so that it's in together. I thought it would just be easier to just explain it than try and write it up. I was reading your minutes from before we left. I left and I had taken a stab at making some revisions to our curbside collection and residential solid waste RFP that we wanted to get out. So you would have received this on May 11th, I think,
Yeah.
curbside collection RFP.
Yeah, I've seen it. You sent it out.
Okay, and so Tim's reviewed it, and we've saved it in the Selectmen's dashboard, and he sent you a link to it. So he's made his comments. So I asked if before the next meeting, if we could set aside time and actually finalize it so we can get it out.
Yep.
I like that, having the Selectmen's dashboard, because you can go in and edit it and make your comments, and then we'll have it all together. Okay.
Is it agreements in process?
Yes.
Because I have it in the other one.
It's mine were in red, and his are like little bullets.
Tim's.
Yeah. The crosswalk maintenance responsibilities document, I took this out of your, because you had the original, in case you were looking for it. There's an agreement that you have to sign for all three.
We don't have to sign it. We only sign it if we agree, don't we?
One is the ramps, the ADA ramps, one at Deer Street and one at New Franklin Apartments. And the crosswalk at Cumberland Farms. And they're installing no parking signs so that there's no parking within 20 feet of the crosswalk. So by signing this, you're accepting the maintenance. So you're accepting the crosswalk maintenance responsibilities at Deer Street,
New Franklin Apartments.
Franklin Apartments,
Cumbies.
and Cumberland Farms.
It seemed like they were a lot more than that. Wow.
So that'll be 3 additional.
So,
But we want to make sure
Wait a
that
minute.
they install the no parking signs. We're not installing the no parking
No.
signs, they are, but we'll have to maintain
We're
them after.
repainting the stripes.
but they're installing them in a lot more locations than just these 3. They're already dug out.
Well, those are the
Well,
3
this
they
has
want
to
us
do,
to take.
this, they're saying
That
this has
doesn't make any sense.
with the resurfacing
It's a state.
program.
Well, they're not gonna have us take over the one on Park because that...
What about
interest-
Peabody?
Gave it the good fight.
What about,
Yeah, Peabody would be one.
I mean, I'd have to drive up there again.
Well, there's no
Peabody?
sidewalk coming off of Peabody. No, because that goes straight down. There's no way that it comes to go across the main road. It doesn't go across the main road.
The sidewalk comes up from Winter Street
Yeah,
and crosses Peabody,
yeah,
goes to the other side. So when those tip downs, they'd put those,
but there's a tip down going across Cumbies, across Route 3. There's no tip downs now across...
then why do they have them all dug out the way they do up there?
What, out there?
Have you seen them all dug out?
They're getting ready to, it's part of their
Yes, but it's
paving
more than-
project.
It's
So-
more than these.
Yes.
So they're putting
it?
one
Yeah.
in at Deer Street.
I don't know, I'm just saying, I just know when I went up
No,
there
there's
to the high
more.
school, there's more than just
Oh,
New
yeah.
Franklin and Deer Street.
Yeah.
And I mean, the same thing, there's no cross across from Franklin, New
So
Franklin.
maybe they're putting one
New
in.
Franklin apartment
Right.
isn't even our street.
Right.
Right.
So they're putting...
What's the little loop road there by Souls Jewelry?
Souls?
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever that is. think there may be one there. I'm trying to
Yeah,
remember.
I was just surprised at how many they had
There's a
opened
fair
up.
amount of them, because they've been working the last couple of days heading east on West Main, cutting them and tearing them out, so it looks like they're gonna be,
Well, on this one, I'd like to add on the one at Cumbies that they're installing the no parking, the restricted parking signs. We're not installing that. They said if there's any, they're responsible for the crosswalks in school zones. We're not responsible.
So that would make sense going down by
The high school.
Peabody,
Yeah, Deer Street.
but not Deer. Why
And all
Deer?
mid-block crosswalks, at mid-block crosswalks.
Okay,
They don't like half of our crosswalks.
Mid-block
that makes sense,
crosswalks,
right,
yeah.
that makes sense.
They don't like our crosswalks.
which ones do they like?
Not
None of
many.
them.
They don't
None
want,
of
they
ours.
want to eliminate the one by Tilton House, they want to eliminate the one by Cumberland,
And over here too?
and I think the one...
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
They want
Well, the way half the people
They'd like
cross, we
these
might
out
as
here to
well.
be eliminated by the
The way most people cross the street, it doesn't really matter.
If we sign that and agree to it, that means they wipe out 20 feet of parking spaces on each side of the parking,
I'm not,
of the crosswalk. So that would wipe out the parking
Yeah, I'm not
in
going
front of
to
Tilton
agree to
House and
this.
Pizza and along
in
there.
that section of Route 3...
Is Tilton House of Pizza on that list?
We own,
It's a mid-block.
No, but
Only
they-
3 that are listed.
only the 3 that are listed, they want us to take over.
but it
That's it.
doesn't make sense.
So Tilton House of Pizza is not included in
I
that.
don't want New Franklin Apartments. What's that got to do with town? Just because,
A lot of residents use that.
doesn't the crosswalk end there? Or does it continue to the...
Again,
I'm just gonna continue with my job
For one person to sign, so I don't know how you want to handle that. You're all going to sign.
What is this?
Those are where I marked to sign.
What is it?
Acceptance of crosswalks? We don't want to do
You're
that.
going to sign it.
We're not signing it. Well,
Without
Pat's
more
not signing it.
explanation.
We'll take the
I'm okay with
crosswalks
it.
if they'll take the parking spaces.
Strike all the other ones.
I know.
Parking shall be restricted and enforced within 20 feet minimum from each end of the crosswalk. They've been trying to get us to do that for years. No, we own X amount of feet out from the curb. So no, it's our parking on our property. And if they don't like it, tough.
Hey, it's not like we don't maintain it.
Then we'll paint a crosswalk on our section of the road. And maybe it won't go across the middle, but we'll at least have a crosswalk on our section. The state has been trying to get rid of crosswalks for years. For years.
At night.
Their claim is that pedestrians have a false sense of security in a crosswalk. And quite frankly, personally, just me, I think it's not true. When I see a crosswalk as a driver, I look. I pay attention. Because who knows who's going to jump out in front of you?
So you don't for the ones that come between the parked cars?
Free game.
Yeah, they're,
Okay.
I mean, I'm
Free
much more,
range and not
I'm
worth
much
as
more
much
aware
as,
of
you know.
pedestrians when I see a
That'll
crosswalk.
catch her on the front of her truck.
And I am not going, I refuse to agree to this. They're not taking our parking spaces away
All right, so
on
where are the
our
Where are
property.
the parking spaces that they're taking away?
Any parking space within 20 feet of a crosswalk. So
Right.
that's 2 right out here.
This is only about the Cumbies and the New Franklin Apartments and the other one. We're not agreeing
No,
to
it doesn't-
everything.
No, I don't, no, it doesn't. No,
It
you-
says the
Read the
one.
document.
Send it down. I'd love to read it.
Read the document.
I interpreted that.
Read it to us.
You should have read it by now. I've had this since February.
I read it.
That's my problem.
Oh, yes, sorry.
I sent it March 3rd.
I wasn't a selectman then.
I've got to use it while I can. It won't last long.
You don't get to be the new guy very long.
Well, we maintain all the crosswalks now.
I know.
Crosswalk shall be in compliance with standards
I
established.
don't think there's any affected spaces on those
Does that
3.
include ADA and all that?
They don't like our ADA because our ADA isn't completely compliant with ADA standards.
Well, then we're not compliant. Are you compliant or not? Yes or no?
No,
Okay.
they're not completely compliant. But
If
in
the
order-
municipality does not agree to maintain the above referenced crosswalk by signing and returning the attached form, the concrete ramps will be removed, not constructed, and the mid-block crosswalk will be eliminated.
That doesn't sound like a positive outcome.
No, it's a threat. Well, at least they're not
It's a
going to...
promise, I imagine.
So, like I said, we are entitled to paint on our property that we own crosswalk. So we can start a crosswalk and finish a crosswalk.
Paint these. Right.
And they hate it that we keep painting
I
them.
don't care if they hate it or not.
Cross Cannon Bridge.
We paint the one at Cumbies, too.
And Tilton
There's
Hills.
no on-street parking at the Cumberland Farms. Not within 20 feet.
There's none in Deer Street.
They park
Not
there,
at Deer Street.
they park there across the
Is
street.
this
don't they?
coming from, it is coming from our buddy
Concerts
Bill.
be
I would
tight.
contact Bill and ask him if he has time to come up and have a
At the
conversation with us about it.
concerts, it's like, let them
Because,
try
you
and
know what?
enforce it.
Well, there's a cop there.
Every man for themselves during the concerts. There's no parking on the street near the new Franklin Apartments. This really doesn't affect us.
As long as it's those only
Same way
and
with
not
Deer
the
Street.
others.
There's really no parking on the street that would be affected.
If you're looking at just those crosswalk
That's
descriptions,
the only thing covered in this agreement.
I don't think so.
I think so. They listed them real
That's all
specific.
you're agreeing to maintain.
That's right.
That's what we're agreeing to maintain, but I think
right.
this document is a little more inclusive than that. They have for years come to us and tried in different manners for us to eliminate those parking spaces within 20 feet of a crosswalk. They want us to eliminate almost half of our crosswalks for years. I think this is just another attempt.
And the
I
only
am
one for...
suspicious enough that I
The only one with
absolutely will
restricted
not agree to
parking is
this.
Cumbies.
Excuse me?
The only one with restricted parking is Cumbies. Install no parking sign, restrict parking 20 feet minimum.
On Cumby.
Yep, no requirement for New Franklin, no requirements for Deer.
Well, I would like to hear Bill Lambert
There's two
tell us that that's,
spaces where Mabel is. Time for table Mabel. I think there's room for 2 cars.
And then there's
Depending on
two,
where
there's
they
no
put it.
official parking
and that's-
spaces,
there
but
isn't?
people, no.
No, that's like
And
they
next
park
to the
there
potty.
during the,
Yeah, people pull off,
Concerts,
but there's
but-
no official parking spaces.
not within 20 feet of that crosswalk.
There's no painted spaces.
No.
No.
Okay.
I would like to hear Bill Lambert tell us this is only pertains to these 3.
I don't think that's unreasonable necessarily, but I don't read anything in there that says it isn't. But just these 3, they've listed them.
yeah, but with the state, you never know.
I know when Susan was up, when they talked to us about resurfacing the downtown area, they wanted to eliminate the one in front of Tilton House of Pizza, and we said no. Well, and it's a moot point because they're not gonna do the downtown,
Yep.
so.
It's not
I
even
mean,
up for
that's gonna be
discussion
another
right
battle.
What do
now.
you mean they're not doing the downtown?
We just heard that they were.
Yeah.
From who?
We didn't agree to
They
that.
did all the,
Dana heard it from someone.
right, Johanna
Yeah.
did it. And
And
they,
if you look at the manholes on Main
right,
Street,
they
there's paint
changed
on
the
them,
manhole,
so...
they changed
they
the
didn't- we didn't
manholes,
agree to that.
but they cut around
I
some
think
of
they
them.
discovered that the drainage is theirs.
Maybe so. I
Yeah,
think
do the
because
parking
they cut
spaces
the,
too?
at
Curb
the
to curb?
drainage.
No, they won't pave curb to curb
Right
because
here
we
downtown?
own,
we own the
I don't know about
and I think we own.
downtown coming up,
from
but
the curb.
there's green paint on the manholes where they're numbering them.
Right, but they weren't going to pave from Park Street to.
They are now supposedly. It's just gonna be, I think, the skinny mix, the PMST probably. The
It should
lipstick
be
on a
a real
corpse.
nightmare.
So they're gonna do
It
up
looks,
School
it looks,
Street as
it
well?
looks good for a year and
Taking
then
my
it just falls
vacation in
apart.
July.
Are they gonna go ahead and go up
I
School
just
Street
wanted-
to Peabody Street?
I don't even want to be around during that.
There's a section of School Street that is yet to be done from this summer when they redid the overlay School Street.
I think we need some
And they said they were
communication
gonna
with
do that when
DOT.
they did the Main Street part, but we were
You know,
talking about
Susan,
next year at
there
that point,
anymore.
because of the drainage issue.
See this? In accordance with RSA 236:1, the Department of Transportation reserves...
They have one program that's
Yeah.
just
Updates with this,
Is everyone in agreement to
what?
having Bill Lambert come in
Yes, please.
or answer the
Yeah,
questions?
Sure. We'll get it
Or
straight
do you want him
once
to
and for
answer the
all.
questions or come in?
It'd be nice if he could come in. I know he's very busy. But we could also, you know, you can judge by the conversation.
So-
We could also
Hold on
shoot
to
him a
that.
list of stuff.
Would he also be the one to talk
To
to
be
about
signed.
pruning the trees?
Downtown?
If they're gonna
Probably
get,
that's more District 3. So you can start with him. He's really a very, very nice man. He will tell you exactly.
Okay,
who
and
to talk to.
last-
He's not a bad...
Our parking ordinance
Do it and take it away.
says, I don't know if Catherine was going to bring this up under her stuff or not. Overnight parking. It shall be unlawful to park any vehicle on either side of Main Street in the downtown area from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. There will be no overnight parking in any municipal parking lots without a Tilton parking permit between the hours of 12 midnight and 5 a.m. So it says it in section K, and it also says it on page 10, which is just like, there's really no number to it. Again, parking spaces on Main Street are not for long-term parking, and exceeding the posted time limit may result in fines and/or removal by tow at the owner's expense. There is no overnight parking on Main Street in the downtown area from midnight to 5 a.m. Parking spaces on Main Street are for short-term parking only, and Main Street will be posted with the time limits for those spaces.
And oops, we didn't do
Well, we
that.
have the time limits. We have the 2-hour, there's a couple 2-hour ones.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that says no parking from midnight to 5 a.m.
really?
We should get the appropriate signs in. If we
Everybody's
tow
been
somebody
obeying
and
it.
there's no signs,
Well, that's
Well,
what we
no, we've
did.
had
and-
people
and
tow.
we had-
But I mean,
For the most
for
part.
the most part, people have been,
I think how we managed these past few years is because we do have the
Flyers
winter
and-
posted for the winter from November to April.
okay, that's true.
But ours is year-round on Main Street.
there should be a sign,
All
several
right, so
signs.
can I go ahead and
I would
tell
say yes.
Dennis and Arthur that the board wants no parking on Main Street between the hours of
Get her
midnight?
done.
Is there any chance that we're going to change that?
I don't think, I would like to talk about the predicament that we're in here and change the Tilton House to an all-night, but
that
not
doesn't-
Main Street, no.
That's
something different.
Nothing to do with the signs on Main Street.
That's correct.
So, yes?
Oh, allow Tilton Inn, you mean?
No.
Tilton House of Pizza, parking lot, was it
Maybe that was
G?
before you got
Yeah, I think it's
Parking
G.
lot G,
Oh, to change that to be,
overnight.
Overnight.
Except in
overnight.
the case of a snow emergency, and that would have to be, because that way there was one lady who was having difficulty
There's two.
getting. Well,
No.
two, one came in.
Overnight means
Send a letter.
from what time to what time?
Midnight to 5.
9 to 5.
And how many hours can you park there if you're handicapped during the day?
Regular.
you can park
How many hours?
anytime.
I thought I read in here 4.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
4-hour now, but we're gonna make it into a,
But that's just overnight, but during the day,
right,
you wouldn't have people parking there all day.
No.
So
Right,
it's-
you're not supposed to.
So my next question is, what is the time limit to park on Main Street?
What's,
So why is it 4 hours in that parking lot?
Because
because off-street, off Main Street, we increased it to 4 hours, not 2.
here's the problem. If Tilton House is open till what time, 11? Okay. And you're allowed 4 hours. Somebody could park there at 8:30 until,
Midnight.
right, then after, they haven't been there 4 hours, and at
Doesn't
midnight.
matter.
and at
Midnight, they're done.
No, at
Doesn't-
If they got
midnight.
there at 11:30,
Hang on.
they gotta move it.
Well, right now, yeah.
At
Yeah, go ahead,
midnight,
Yeah.
you now get till 6, or if we change it. So
we
technically, If we change it to 4 hours plus midnight
Oh, I
to 6,
see.
you could park there from 8:30 until 6 and 4 and 10 in the morning, which would wipe out the business.
They don't do anything before 10 at Tilton House.
Oh, yeah, they
They don't
do.
open till 11.
No,
Or
before
they
10
get
a.m.
deliveries.
Before 10 a.m.
People are in and out of there picking up
Yep.
dinner.
People
Not
get,
not at 10
Not in the
a.m.,
morning.
9 a.m.
Oh, I thought you meant 10
Yeah.
p.m.
No, at night, they're open like...
that's not a big problem, but technically, somebody could park there at 8:30,
So how would
or
you
all the
word it?
residents.
This is basically about those two people with walking difficulties.
Handicap, yeah. I think-
Accessibility
I mean,
issues.
Accessibility
that's not age.
No.
So you
Tilton House?
you
You
know,
have to change it to
The parking spaces,
I'm gonna say
2
this, I
hours or
can't.
something.
No.
So here's
Tilton
the
House.
issue.
Tilton House,
We're gonna-
there's people that live up above that are handicapped,
We're,
The Tilton House parking is municipal parking.
correct?
it has to have
It's
a
closer
handicap
to
space.
Ideal Hall and closer to Head First, the apartments up over Head First.
Right.
That's where the difficulties are. You have Marianne Abbott and you have that other Marianne that just came in. There's two people with accessible,
That's accessibility.
accessibility issues.
But there's also, in fact, I'm
They
glad you
can't,
brought that up.
in order, if you go behind the insurance
even-
company,
Yes, that-
you have to
yes,
walk
yes.
up and then down Main Street. It's much, much longer.
Yes, and also,
With accessibility
H
handicaps,
is-
it's not helping.
it's always full of water. It's like big potholes full of
They
water.
hardly,
Yeah,
they
it's
really
not a
don't
prime
allow
spot.
it.
We pave that, so
So-
people know that those are municipal spaces.
We just spent all
Talk to
our
me
money.
next
We're only
year.
talking
Talk to
about
me at
two
budget
spaces, really.
time.
Why are we even considering making this change? Every time somebody comes in with some kind of accessibility issue, are we gonna change this ordinance?
You
No,
got
but I
people
think
coming
you
in
need
on
to
speed
look
bump
at,
issues, and
we
we're gonna
don't
do
really
something.
want to get, we don't really want, you know who down our throat,
On
like,
Manville, we don't have them there.
what's his name?
Probably Silver Lake.
No
Amen.
idea.
Yeah.
Right, but
Was that?
That's right.
Amen.
Yeah, Tinker.
we did
I
amend
don't want to
this.
tinker out of this.
Okay, have you ever heard of a wheelchair?
Oh, come on, Catherine.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
The board amended this August 11th of 2011, where we said time limits for handicap parking shall be unlimited between the hours of 5 a.m. and 12 o'clock midnight on Main Street. So they can park on Main Street.
Till
Not
midnight. She
overnight.
wants to park all night on Main Street because it's closer to her home and she has a walking disability.
And I'm actually gonna suggest
Oh,
we
after
change that
after
because
midnight.
we have people that are monopolizing our handicap parking as personal parking spaces. So somebody coming to town new doesn't have a handicap space to park in.
Or a visitor to a
We
business.
don't have enough spaces.
All right, but they could park out there
You go to the high school and see.
on
them
Main
there.
Street, or, well, see, this just says Main Street, doesn't say in the municipal lot.
We haven't let them. We are going to amend that
Well, we're going
to,
to amend it, but we did give them permission.
the Board of Selectmen did not give them permission.
Yes, we did.
I didn't.
We did.
No, we did not.
The Board of Selectmen did, even if you didn't.
When?
We gave it.
I must
it
have
was-
missed that.
We were at a meeting and we did, and we had
No.
Catherine Wozniak call them.
Talking about the one
I must have missed the meeting.
Did we not? The Board of Selectmen voted on that.
Yeah, I'm real sure we
yeah.
did.
And we said as long as they gave a telephone number,
Can we find that? Because I'm going to tell you, I must have
absolutely,
been on.
Catherine, we can find that. It's in the
Must have
minutes.
been over there.
You might, you know,
I may not have
I
been
can't
here.
remember whether you're
I
here or
think
not.
you were
But I
before that
remember,
you
I
put
do
down that I
remember,
voted no.
That could have
That
been
was one
too.
of your...
Let the record show.
Let the record show.
and here it is to bite us.
Well, we can't, yeah.
So the back row of Lot H.
Don't even consider it for
Yeah,
that.
forget about it.
So
It's-
I, you know,
So Lot G, right now, Lot G is all 4 hours, so there's no overnight parking at all in Lot G.
That's
Right.
And
correct.
there's only one handicap spot.
right,
So what is the board proposing then for Lot G?
I don't know.
we're not,
that
I don't think we're
proposing.
really gonna propose
No.
anything, because if we do, it's just going to set a precedent, and I really, in my heart of hearts, would not want to set and end up with another, you-know-what on our case. If we do it for one, we have to do it for every single one
And there you
down the
go.
road. And the chief has already spoken to the Commissioner of Disabilities. We do not have to offer, although I'm all for trying to make it possible whenever we can for disabilities. But, you know, we're in an impossible situation. We cannot make the down because of the size of the parking spaces downtown. We can't add more handicap because of the way they're situated downtown.
No, but
And we can't add it in the municipal.
But here's the thing. I'm not sure if in Lot C, do we have a handicap space?
No, we don't. C is to the right of the fire
station.
No, we don't have a handicap
So
there.
if we made handicap space there, because technically it's a separate parking lot, theoretically, if we made a handicap space there, it's actually a shorter walk to go from that space straight down
along the
Tryon,
church.
straight across the street, and boom, you're at Ideal Hall. That's a much shorter distance than coming down from G,
Well,
walking up out of G and all the way to the sidewalk. So if we made a handicap space
You're going
there,
to take 2 spaces away from that area.
Well, one of them will be handicapped, that's all.
But didn't we take away spaces in
Two will
Lot
make
B
one.
to have the transit van?
yep.
So we lost 2 spaces there, plus we lost a space here because we made it van accessible.
we had to in Lot B.
What was the deal with the other lot, or spaces that are behind the insurance company that aren't paved?
We only own half of that.
We only own half of that. And
I don't even know if it's half.
And what is
It's up
the
against the
situation with that?
guardrail part. And people really don't know that they exist unless we actually tell them and show them. And a lot of people don't want to use them because it fills with water or mud.
Yeah, it's real wet
Even
in the
marked.
spring.
You
and-
have a sign that says Lot H?
I think you're going to find that Lot C, I bet if we asked, we would have to have a handicap there because it's separate from the other. Maybe on the same piece of property, but it's a separate parking lot.
Could we do the could we possibly do the N one and then extend it into the pathway of going around in the back? That would make more sense, make those 2 back-to-back handicapped.
So it could be lines on it, so nobody
Exactly, and
would
you
park
could-
or drive there
You could extend
naturally,
it
but
that
if
way,
they
and
had
you
to,
wouldn't
they
be
would.
losing a space. You
That's
could.
right.
That would be a perfect idea.
Okay, can you repeat that for me? Because I
All
don't
right.
understand. Show
So-
on C and mark where it would be. So
So
it's 1 or 2 spaces.
it would be these 2, and then the lines would come out like that.
Oh,
So it would be back-to-back, those 2, and then the lines would come out for handicap.
On the firehouse side?
no, she's got it on
I got it on the outside.
the
Either way, I think.
east side.
What does
Now,
everybody think?
Yeah.
Well, one of them's drive-in, so they would have to go around and come into the space, or back into the space.
And it'll happen on either end, so it doesn't really
Right,
matter.
either end, it would be the same difficulty to do that. However, it can be done. You'd have to have,
And that particular place would be 24-hour, or I should say overnight parking?
I think it is, isn't it?
no, the back road's overnight.
Yeah, so we haven't fixed your overnight problem.
We haven't fixed the overnight problem. The only thing we fixed is
Well, you-
accessibility.
say the handicap spaces in the municipal lots, there's no time restriction.
We're going to change that.
We've got to change that. We can't. However, in storm conditions,
They have to move.
they have
They
to
have to
give us a
move.
telephone number accessible to them that they are, we can't ask everybody, because who knows, somebody else could be there and that we don't know.
That's right. This may or may not solve her problem at all.
I lived
Because
in Back
anybody
Bay
with a
for
sticker
8
can
years.
park there, not just her.
I never had so much trouble.
Well, once they're marked
Parking
handicap,
downtown.
only the handicap.
For 7 years,
Handicapped
parking
person
downtown
could-
has
that
been
might ace her right out, see?
Right, and then they
the
would...
7, I know,
This is a
since
rock and
I've been
hard
here.
place, 'cause
It is,
I'm really all
comes up
about
and
the
you change it, you
accessibility.
tweak it,
As our
and something else
population
will come
gets
up.
older and older, we're gonna have more of this, not less, so mobility, accessibility.
It is much better, though. You got to admit that there is much more organization to it.
I don't really see a difference.
I do. I see a big difference in getting accessibility downtown. If I went to the hardware store, there's more cars available. If I went to the health food store, I could get in before the people that owned, the owners of the vehicles, of the businesses were parking out front.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
I
that
mean-
was the issue.
Yeah, but I mean, it's their business if they want to lose business.
Well, no, they were parking in front of other people's businesses and leaving theirs
Auction
up.
house counting his off
When
on
I
auction
had
night.
my store across the street, my landlord didn't get along with some people across the street, and they took it out on me, and they parked all their employees right around my
Yeah.
business.
And that's what they did down here with the
So,
tanning, all of them parked all in front of Jim's place down to the hardware, so that they left the tanning booth's place open. It was just a war all the time.
What about the auction house?
How many spaces does the fire
That's at night,
department
it
take
didn't
up?
affect them.
It wasn't quite so much.
think about
There was a lot of cars down
six,
there.
6 or 8.
No, two.
Just two?
The two vehicles that they have, the other ones they park out back in their space, in the back of the house. There's only two dedicated to the fire, the truck and the chief. We gotta look at the minutes on that.
All right.
We
so-
did dedicate two to
Depending-
the fire.
Depending how many spaces are in Lot C, you may only need one.
Speaking of the fire and parking, then parking engine 3 cross Center Street, that's okay?
Not
That's
technically,
annoying.
they're blocking the street. It's a
That's
road.
annoying.
Well, and you gotta watch out for the grill now this time of year.
I know. They're barbecuing in the road.
I gotta have someone with me some night. We'll do a quick stop, throw it in the back, and off we go.
I would like to see sometime if
How
we
somebody
could
just abandoned it in the
make
road.
Lot H, make our town property more Lot H, get it paved,
Right.
have it striped and
Well,
have a
maybe
sign.
we can put it in the budget
We
next
should
year.
put it in the budget for next year.
Get an estimate and put it in the budget.
And also, this week I walked over to Cumbie and I walked back through the back of the property there, and our Lot E was completely empty. Nobody parks there during the day, but then I saw a ton of cars over off of Mechanic Street, and I don't know whose land they were on.
Well, we have two
Trailers and,
We have two parking spaces on Lot E, on Mechanic Street. We have two pieces of property. One is a parking lot that we've made a parking lot, and the other is at the end. It's just a piece of property that I think it's gravelled, I don't think we've ever paved it. We used it for snow storage
right.
for a while.
Yeah, but that would be nice if we could have that and then a sign saying municipal parking, people could park back there.
The tenants from those buildings use it.
Okay. So we're not gonna do anything with that tonight. We're just gonna have some signs made up for Main Street.
Main Street.
That's all. And then the final thing is, just,
Well, we're gonna do that, the handicap, right, in C?
You only need one space in C, I think.
Well, let's make the one in C then.
okay. Are you?
In the back row? Is that what you're talking about?
I think, no, you
Back
want
row?
the front one, right?
The front one.
One space. It's not van accessible though, just a handicap.
Van accessible, right?
You gotta take this.
Yeah.
Let's think about it until next week.
Yeah, let's go look at it, we'll think about it next week, we
Yeah.
can make a decision. We can all,
If you have one parking,
we can ask Dennis.
I believe if you have one handicap accessible space in a parking lot, it's supposed to be van accessible.
If you,
I think you're right. If it's only one.
and we asked Dennis and Arthur to look at it and get their recommendation as well. All right, good.
It isn't gonna solve this issue if we don't change the time.
That's right. Otherwise,
She
there's no
was
sense
pretty-
really in doing it, I don't think.
Enlightened to find out that she could park at the Tilton House. She thought that was a private parking lot.
Right.
Keep in mind, though, keep in
Still
mind,
can't
she's
park
on,
there overnight.
you know what, though, in all fairness, and I don't mean this in any respectful way at all, but living on a second floor apartment,
She said she's trying to move and she can't find a place. She understands the issue, I think, but what is she doing this in the short term?
But, you know, I get it, but are we supposed to be accommodating because of that? And so we're gonna try to make a space for somebody, and then, but they go up to
I know what you're saying,
the
but
second floor?
So if somebody
what you're
came in
saying.
to get
I
permits
have to be careful
for-
what I say, because I don't mean to
Well,
be
this is the
disrespectful.
second person that has an accessibility issue.
Yep,
That's made us aware of the lack of handicap spaces.
yep.
an overnight parking close to
And
the
overnight
That's right.
parking, so we're looking into it, but
Maybe
like I
that
said,
area back there
I think
behind
we're
the
gonna find
buildings is the
we
way.
should, or are
That
supposed
still
to
leaves them
have a handicap parking in that.
That still leaves them with an uphill walk out of
No.
that lot.
Living in Boston, we didn't have handicap spaces.
When did you live
Parking,
there?
Yeah, it's been 8 years.
When?
So
They must
that'll
have
be
now.
through,
They don't.
No?
They have the long walks between the handicaps.
88,
Huh?
89?
Well, that's why.
Well, I
Changed after
gotta,
89?
I gotta believe
Oh,
we're
I
more
go
civilized
down
than
there,
Boston.
you go drive around Back Bay, you don't see handicap parking.
You do
I'm
now.
all for handicap spacing if we can accommodate it
That's a hard-
successfully,
yeah.
and that- and we
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
really accommodate it
I
successfully
haven't-
downtown.
Haven't heard how yet.
Right, me either.
Street in every residential
Okay.
neighborhood.
All right, just a brief, very brief, non-public on
Yeah, we
legal.
didn't have that.
And also, I did speak with Glenn Smith about the pending donation for the island from Allison, and he'll bring that to his board on next Tuesday.
Poopy
Little
bags,
caca baggies.
poopy bags.
Okay,
Work 'em,
Gift wrappers.
work 'em.
all right.
You're inviting dogs to poop.
We have I have things I have to bring up on the selectmen's reports that are important, and so should we do non-public or in selectmen's report, or selectmen's reports and non-public? Yeah. Everyone?
Like the selectmen report.
All right. Anybody else have just as much important things?
Mine's waiting until next week.
I've got nothing. Yes, I do. The Old Home Day is the 27th. Be there. It's gonna be lots of fun. Candy for the kiddies.
What's happening Monday?
Monday is Citizen of the Year Award, 6 o'clock, not 7, 6 o'clock, cake and ice cream.
Oh, I love cake and ice cream.
We have a decision to make. I remember Peter Salibas sent me an email to link up with Tannis Gates so that they could find a resolution to the lighting. We didn't make a decision last week on how we wanted to do that. We thought that it should come through us, but
Well,
not everyone had done that.
I have not seen anything that substantiates that they are not, what do you call it, light polluting beyond their bounds. I have seen nothing. I don't have any test results. I've got
Haven't seen
nothing.
their report.
All right, so let's ask Dari tomorrow to request all the lighting reports, first, intermediate, and this latest one.
And off.
Yeah.
On, off, everything.
And let Peter Salibas know that he needs to deal with the Board of Selectmen.
Well, he did send it to the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, so in all fairness to
On
Peter Salibas.
improving the lighting conditions up there, or non-light.
Just get that a butters notice about that?
Yes, we
That's for
did.
the tennis courts.
Yep, that's a different thing.
Citizen of the Year is at the Pines, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I did forward that to everyone, didn't I?
Yes.
But the letter that he sent?
Yes.
Said he was effectively compliant?
Yep. You all have
Yes,
it, right?
yes,
and
you've got the
Because he said
adjective.
so?
No, I'm not saying that. I just want to make sure that you got it.
what he said.
No,
I'm
Catherine,
responding to his comment.
Catherine, he effectively complies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he
effectively,
says
with his
so.
effect.
All right, Joyce, did I forward that note to you?
almost pregnant?
He's complying with the guidelines.
Let's not have Derry do it, because he's not been involved in the situation up until now. Let's have Joyce reply back to it.
Someone who'll let us know when there's meetings and stuff that we should go to.
He did let us know.
Oh, good, these are all your chat.
Yeah, that was, some
Some of us.
of them, Joyce.
Now, so Catherine, I'll keep these in here so you can review them and sign them.
What's that?
I'll be in tomorrow morning.
Okay, so Joyce, I'll help you, lighting at the field, okay.
This agreement, the board hasn't signed. This is for
Right, next week.
Bagley.
Right, next week.
Next week.
Right, but this is them agreeing to
We're
our
not,
terms.
but it also talks about us taking it. We don't take it until next week.
Okay,
So we're not gonna
We'll
sign
it.
that
okay, fine.
until,
Also, since this was done, the first issue tax bill went out, so I've got to notify them that they also have to pay the first issue tax bill. Because what this says is that they will pay all of 2015 taxes.
Yeah, so they can have the money available when they come in.
Right, so I have to notify them. It's
Yeah.
like 250 bucks.
Okay, so I will forward this, Joyce, to you, and you can, and then you and I can converse tomorrow. All right. So, town ad, all right, now, the other thing is, the deeding we talked about, the parking we talked about, Tanis, we finally had a meeting with this executive committee and the chat committee, and there are renewals for the chat committee, and there's a new person in there that we'd like to put in as alternate to the executive committee, Jane Wyman, and so her sheet is in there as well. I have 3 more that I need to get information on to whether or not they want to continue on the chat committee. I haven't been able to get in touch with them. The volunteer driver program, we're having problems with, so in case seniors call here at Town Hall, volunteer driver program is a program that chat gave up giving rides to, because we partnered with the Community Action Program giving rides. And most of our drivers that volunteered went to the CAP program and volunteered because they get a stipend for mileage. They're having trouble finding drivers, and consequently, what's happening is they're not fulfilling their responsibility for Tilton seniors in getting rides for them, and they're kind of falling through the cracks. The agreement that we had with them was that if they couldn't find a ride, they would call us, the chat committee, and that we would make sure that one of our chat members would pick them up and take them for a ride. That's not happening, and it hasn't been happening for a couple of months. There is a new director, Juliana, who's been in contact with me back and forth, trying to resolve these issues, but for now, they're not completely resolved. So it's a big issue.
Next time I go to the RCC, I will definitely be bringing that up.
Yeah. It's a real big issue, so.
Well, there is the new person, but that's not an excuse to not be taking care of this 2 months after the start, because volunteer driver is what that program is all about. So just leaving us in the lurch is not a good thing. So anybody interested in driving should, being a volunteer driver, should contact who? If we're short of drivers.
It should be
somebody who wants
Juliana
to-
at the volunteer driver program number, which is, I believe, 224-9043.
I think it's on the
Yeah,
town website.
it's on the, right,
So anybody interested in being a volunteer driver could apply to Juliana at that
absolutely.
phone number.
Yep. There's one other thing that you and I spoke about, I can't remember what it is. Another police issue, but I'll just kind of run it by you in non-public, it's personnel. That's it for me.
Should we talk
has to
about
be
the
done.
speed bumps on Daniels?
Yeah, that's the other thing, okay, speed bumps. What should we do? I'm in favor of it, so.
Motion to buy 2 speed bumps for Daniels Drive. Well, it's not just Daniels, it involves
Daniels
Chestnut.
Drive in Prospect. So what-
Much,
They're a minimum of $750, but there's shipping, and it's,
And there's a cost of putting them in and taking them out. And,
no more than 2,500?
I don't believe so.
oh, no, it wouldn't be that high.
It's not that much. It's, the other one that we got for Academy was $750, and there was $160, I think it was, in
Actually,
shipping.
You want
So,
to attach a maximum
2,500.
2,500, not to exceed?
I don't,
I do.
That
because I'm
seems,
not going to put a value on somebody's life. They've had 2 Rolos up there, they've had people,
But we...
I think it
there are
costs what
other
it
options.
costs.
We could put
The
with
police
just
is-
one in a certain place.
the
and
chief has sat there and said what a,
six-
So
Agreed.
he's talking about vendors. He's talking about the vendor that we use, the source that we use to get the speed bumps.
well, that's the matter of trusting our department head.
oh, it's over $500, but there's only so many people that make speed bumps.
Right.
We do know that when we got the Academy, it was $750, and then there was shipping. I believe it was $160 to $200 for the shipping. It was exorbitant.
And the public works director is a good shopper.
Yep, and he looked around. So, yeah, all right, you want to, who seconded that motion?
Nobody.
Okay. I'll second it.
We don't have Peter.
I'll wait. We're in discussion. I just want to make sure it got seconded so we can discuss it. I really do believe that my guess it's going to cost about $2,000 because it's going to be shipping. Or it's going to be about $1,500, right around $1,700. Yeah. Where are we going to take the money from?
Highway.
Highway?
Not much slush in the highway budget.
we took,
Not
cut out some
much.
money. We cut them back on stuff
Maybe a
already.
little bit of wages, because
That he's over now. Well, he will be over. And the overtime, remember the part-time overtime?
What's, with Gary being gone, what are they
We'll have to
saving?
transfer money in if we have to.
And the police? Well, that could be a possibility because with Gary gone, it's $20, it's $19 an hour he was making.
yeah,
Plus-
40 hours a week of overtime.
Right,
Sorry.
right.
So I don't know if we're actually, of course, there's a different budget line, but I don't know if we're actually saving anything.
We're not, but then we budgeted.
Insurance and those things, the
Right.
wraparound, the vacation,
Yeah.
there is that, there might be a
Spend what we
savings.
save.
Well, this is kind of important when we really need to have
This
this.
is going to
We'll
save a
find a
life.
place,
This will save a
Do you
life.
know where they're going to be installed?
Yeah,
We're
not
gonna,
exactly.
we're
Most
gonna,
of the consensus is near the corners on either side,
yeah.
but I think the chief and the public works
That's one thing.
should determine that.
Yeah,
If they put them near the corners, near the end, people are already braking. If they put it in the middle of the straightaways, then you have people have to...
or 50 feet up from the corner.
Prospect, there's not a lot of braking. They do on Chestnut
What I was
Street, just
saying
off the
is,
corner.
you've got the road that curves like this, so when they get to that corner, they're gonna brake a little bit, and then you put it in the middle of that straightaway, and then if they have another
They
problem...
speed up to the other corner.
Before that. So they have to slow down, because they're not going to be,
There's not that much room, though, to speed up.
if you put it right near the
Only a few
end,
houses.
it's kind of a moot point, because they already did the straightaway, now they're punching the brake.
But that straightaway is what, 2 houses? It's
Put it right in the middle.
Tanis's and Roy's, that's it.
Put it right in the middle, so they have to slow down because of that.
No,
Put it-
they speed up to it, and then they go over it, and then they speed up. Shoot
Well,
down.
we'll let the
Over it,
experts
then they
decide
speed.
when we get them, right?
Whole open
So
road.
it's just one on Daniels and one on
I don't think there's enough, by the time they get over it, there really isn't enough time for them to pick up.
No, there's only 2.
Otherwise, they're gonna be coming to a screeching halt to go over the other one, which is the reason for 2.
Waiting for Peter.
We ought to get 2 more and put one in the middle of each hill. That'd be fun for the winter. Oh, we'd pick them up.
Change the,
And they don't tend to
Streets be
go up
one way.
in the winter. They don't really tend to go up. They
I thought
tend
they
to,
take them
Icy
out.
Hill.
they
Oh,
take
well,
them out
do,
in the
but-
winter, but they still, even if we did, they tend to cut across High Street.
The Icy Hill, they don't want to go
We made a
up there.
motion to purchase the 2 speed bumps
Go on Daniels.
for Daniels.
Geez, I don't know. I think we should do it to all streets, to be fair.
We'll get to that. So the motion's been made and seconded, right?
Yep.
Under discussion, I'd like to say that personally, I'm not in favor of this. Because we get right into, even though my pal Mr. Fogg is making sarcastic jokes about it, I agree with him. Because it starts there, and then, oh, well, we've got kids on High Street, and we've got kids on Chestnut, and we've got kids here. And it is a public safety issue, and I understand this, but those 2 bumps doesn't solve the overall
You had 2
What
rollovers
have
on
you?
High Street?
Say what now?
Have you had 2 rollover accidents on High Street?
Not to the best of my
we had a
knowledge.
rollover on Morrison.
It happens all over the place, is my
I've had 4
point.
fatalities in
However,
front of my house.
it's
I'd
still
like to
my
have a
turn.
speed bump.
However,
Extra lane
it
back.
really was my turn.
That was
Uh,
what caused fatalities, trust me. Except for one.
Where the fuck is the hammer? Somebody used the damn hammer. It's my turn. That said,
Say what I thought.
Yes, he did.
He did.
that said, I've got to vote in favor of it because I'm not the leader of the residents, I'm the representative. And every single one of them that came here tonight, and that the ones that I talked to, with the exception of one, were all in favor of it. So, aye.
It's the first time I ever had residents beg us not to fill in a pothole.
Unique. All right,
I
all
didn't
those
want-
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't want them to fill it in on Silver Lake Road.
We asked the chief
doubled over
and
there.
Arthur and Dennis to get together and figure out where the best possible place is to place it, and then tell them to order it.
One thing about that, they mentioned that the people cut through like Pillsbury Lane, they swing wide around those corners. I looked at those corners on the Google map. They're all huge swept corners which promote taking wide curving turns. That corner where it comes out by where the tennis court and the football field is there, that should be a square corner with a stop sign. So you don't get the people keeping the momentum up. They go up, they stop, and go.
Interesting.
And the way, we grade the streets and put that,
Yeah.
But are those flares there also for winter maintenance? You got a
Right,
place
so
to
when they
put
take
snow
a
storage?
well, I mean, my road's square at the end. Every other road's square at the end. Those are, look how well they're swept, how sweep they are and how many
But
people cut 'em.
how wide is the road you're going on to?
Morrison, pretty narrow.
Well, when you're coming out of Morrison, you're going on to, what, 40 feet of pavement? When they put the speed bumps in, it would be nice if they do it at an angle instead of perpendicular to the lane.
Yeah, that makes-
Perpendicular to the lane, it's just a bump. At an angle, you're gonna go like this, and it'll get their attention.
Really?
That was-
Yeah. Because I may be doing it on my road with some stone dust.
Nice. All right. Okay, so you'll let them know that, make, any more business to come before us in a public meeting?
Just selectman thing, cleaned the statue of Mabel and in front of the school.
Nice, how'd it
Scrubbed
go?
it. Really good.
Is that your operation?
It took, it's hard to get the water up there to rinse it off, so mostly it was dipping in a bucket and scrubbing again. But this stuff is made so that if you leave some residue on there, the rain will wash it off. And we had those great rains, and the stuff was, I mean, you could see it coming
Look
off. Oh, yeah, after it sat there for a while. So take a look at down, oh, yeah, it was fun. Look at the statue by the high school. We should cut some of those branches off. They're all, it's getting hidden. And Mabel's all set. There's a water trough that's right in front of it that was, I bucketed it all out, got all the leaves up, but there's all kinds of like mosquito larvae in there and everything.
There's a drain,
And
when
there's
they
a drain in
moved
there.
that
I don't
over.
know where.
They
how to
never
open and
installed
close
the
it.
drain.
There you go.
They just moved it over there and plunked it down. If you see, there
I
was a
felt-
drain in
yeah,
it. You
I
find
felt
it,
it.
goes to nowhere.
So that fills up, unfortunately.
Is one of those statues missing a head?
No,
There's an
this one's
arm
missing an arm.
by the high school.
Okay, an arm, but none of them are missing heads.
Did you find the
Somebody,
head?
somebody complained that the statue was missing a head. I said, I don't think so, but
And-
that doesn't mean it isn't missing the head.
It's missing an arm.
All right, so missing
Oh,
an
God,
arm.
we better take a
Is there-
survey of our statues.
Is there any plans to replace the arm?
The arm?
Are we gonna
I
get a
don't-
prosthetic?
Well,
I know where to take it. I took the last one. I'll do it again. It was great.
so there is no current plans for replacing the arm?
Really?
Okay, well, so I was asked and I
I'm
was
a
just
little amazed.
researching.
Did she have?
How expensive
Did
was
she have one originally?
I don't remember. I've got the paperwork someplace.
Was
in
this the
the
second one replaced?
When we did Squantum.
And why do we have Squantum?
Yeah, but he was copper,
Wasn't he
we got him cleaned
rebronzed or
up, right?
something?
Because he was
No, it's a
purchased
silver
by the
Civil
town
War guy
fathers.
that got rebronzed.
But we,
He
something,
wasn't from Tilton.
No, they just had, the company that they bought most of these statues from sold a
Close out.
Squantum most New England towns have a Squantum,
Really?
yeah. Most of them.
There's special on it.
They're all over the place. I stop and take pictures of
So
Squantums when I
what would
see
it
them.
cost?
One from
What-
Charles Tilton, though, this Squantum.
I'd have to look at my paperwork. I'm not sure who purchased it.
What do you think it would cost to replace fix the arm? on
Well, it's
that?
not bronze. It's probably,
It's stone of some
Marble?
sort.
probably
it's
marble.
It would be real expensive.
And how do you get it to stay attached?
There's
They have a
pins,
way.
They
they
pin
put
them,
pin 'em.
and then there's material they use.
But,
to-
but what's the diameter of the arm, you know?
They
They
gotta,
have to, it can be done.
maybe,
It's,
I would
I mean,
say
you're talking
three.
thousands,
That's-
and I'm gonna bet it's over 10.
a 3D printer.
I just wanted to know if there was any plans to answer this resident's concern.
All right,
There
all
are
right,
not.
let's move on.
No, but
Okay.
we would better start counting heads.
Good job.
All right, let's make a motion to go into non-public per RSA 91A:3. Oh, we don't, it's attorney-client.
Oh, so we can just,
We can just,
Recessing?
we just,
we could recess and
Well,
adjourn
I'm at-
after.
Yeah, we're just-
Well, no, because you'll have to make a decision. Well, it doesn't matter, because it's a,
attorney-client.
Figuring that out. I'm
Okay.
using the bathroom. To the other
We're in
room.
recess, right?
Yep.
Okay then, we'll be back.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we are in the red, and seeing as it was attorney-client, there is no minutes to seal.
That's right.
So, in that case, seeing no other business before me, I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes!
Yes. 8:45, everyone. 10 minutes to 9. Woo!